Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Cut the music.
Cut the music.
The music was cut.
The ultimate cut the music.
So I will say this as a warning to Knicks fans in this show because I don't mind it. And if it was just sitting here after a loss,
Knicks fans.
After a loss, which the Celtics were going to suffer anyway prior to the Jason Tatum injury, then we could take that. But
beyond the loss.
This is beyond a loss, and it's almost impossible to talk about anything else because everybody saw what we all believe we saw, which was a non-contact injury.
The worst kind.
When Tatum pushed off on his right foot and immediately collapsed to the ground, and 1 million times out of 1 million times, that's a torn Achilles, and everyone's hoping for something else, but it's hard to believe that it is. We'll see. Every Twitter doctor who analyzes this kind of stuff took to Twitter right away and was like, yeah.
I'm on the phone with cousin Joey.
That's what it is. No one's even going to be able to deal with the cousin Joey stuff. Not yet.
I know.
It's still fresh.
I stopped there.
It's officially too soon.
No, I mean, listen, even he's not going to touch this one. This is beyond his capabilities. So
what stinks is it was a heroic effort, and it was a game where we would have talked about how Tatum did everything he possibly could to will them to victory with so little help across the board. And there were going to be a lot of people. Those people are not going to be spared in this show. They're not.
No.
We're gonna hear about it. And as time goes on, we may get angrier and we may get emotional.
In fact, it was it was just
we may say some things because
complete discombobulationness that led to this Tatum injury, to be completely honest.
And look, it could have happened with him just making a hustle play. So I'm not going to blame another sloppy Jaylen Brown turnover, which is what Tatum had to go dive after that ball, because basketball players make that type of move all the time. So I think that is silly. It's just emblematic.
Yeah, it's that
of what had happened. Kristaps Porzingis was a 0 again. Al Horford playing on the not a back-to-back, but without that extra day rest, kind of reverted back to older Al role player. Didn't have as impactful a game as he'd had last time. Derek White did everything he could. But guys, I don't know. I don't know what to do other than to kind of brood over this Tatum thing. And you're looking at the podium here, and we're going to get Joe Mazzulla coming out in a little bit. And we'll hear from him on the situation. I'm sure he's not going to provide any insight on the injury, but when we know something, we will tell you. We've got Bobby and Noah down there at Madison Square Garden. Should we get any sort of updates, we will bring them to you right away. So, guys, here we are. Let's talk about it. Your thoughts, kind of just seeing all of it.
I mean, we've seen guys go down with no one near them and like this, and it's never ever as good as we would hope. We can be optimistic all we want to, but this is not going to turn out well. The bigger issue, John, and I think you alluded to this, was that Tatum was on an island by his damn self this entire game. We saw top shelf two-way Tatum, where he's making plays at both ends of the floor, doing everything he could possibly do to keep this team afloat. And you look around, and usually the guys that are just kind of lifting him up and helping, in the fight, they sucked. They sucked. They absolutely sucked in every sense of the word. They could not make shots. They could not get stops. They did not rebound the ball. They did not close out. It was literally everything that you could possibly do to not help your teammate in the most important game of your season. They did. And I mean, it's hard to figure out where to start because there's so many different absolute pitfalls and mines and just calamity after calamity that you can start with. This is your seat is going to end at some point, and as the defending champs, at some point you're not going to be the champs anymore. But damn, to go out like this, the Tatum injury, obviously we have to talk about that. But outside of that, this was not the way you want to go out. And I know they still technically on paper are still in the series, but come on.
Yeah, this is not only a season-altering loss. This is a potentially franchise-altering loss. And it's a micro. We're looking at the micro here. We're looking at the macro. So again, I'm sure we'll kind of flip-flop back and forth here. But if you're talking about this season or talking about this game, it was disappointing to see how the majority of this Celtics team came out today. Tatum put the team, and again, you can criticize little bits and pieces here, but overall, this was a game where Tatum could have theoretically gone for 50 at Madison Square Garden in Game 4 of the playoffs, and there really wouldn't have been much negative you could have put his way. He kind of put the team on his back there. So to watch him on the court, writhing in pain on a non-contact injury where we're all assuming it's an Achilles, absolutely is just kind of gutting from, a fan perspective, from just a basketball standpoint. Anytime an NBA superstar goes down for whatever reason, regardless of whether you're a fan of the team or not, it's just horrible. You hate to see it. But from a Celtics and we're going to get Joe Mazzulla here, so I'll stop and I'll go back after.
Oh, it's Mazzulla. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
He's muted.
He's with the doctors now. I didn't ask him. I just got the update from him. I just asked him how he was doing. So I'll get the MRI tomorrow, and we'll see what it is.
How concerning is that for you guys right now?
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously always concerned about someone's health. So it's twofold. We're concerned about his health, where he's at, and then we're concerned about what we have to do better for Game 5 when we get back to Boston.
Joe, was it the Achilles or was it the ankle itself? And was it contact? Because there was some contact.
I have no idea. I got back there, talked to the medical staff. They told me it's a lower body injury, and they're going to get an MRI tomorrow. So, we'll see where it goes from there.
He knows.
I mean, to see him, he's the guy. He's hurt, he gets up. I mean, when he doesn't get up, he's staying down. I mean, how does that make you feel? How did that impact the team that he couldn't get up on his own?
Yeah, obviously you're always worried about someone's health. So the fact that he had to be carried off, like you said, he's the type of guy that when he gets right up. So he didn't, and we'll know tomorrow exactly what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to watch a guy like him get carried off like that.
You, Rob, and Jack, did you have a chance to talk to him at all?
No, I didn't. No.
And how was his reaction in the locker room? What is
Yeah, I mean, tonight, we just didn't play well defensively, and we're in a hole, and we got to get back to Boston, and we got to figure out a way to win. So, Knicks played great tonight. We had stretches of playing well, and they got the best of us, especially in that third quarter, with their pace, their offensive execution, and I thought their pressure took us out of a lot of our actions and took away our rhythm, and we have to fix that for next game.
Jack, I know it's tough to focus on the game with something like that at the end of it, but in that fourth quarter, they were getting mid-range a lot. They were getting a lot of, it felt like you guys were getting all this stuff. Was that something that they were doing? Was it like a adjustment? Like, what did you see happen when they just kept making what seemed like pretty tough passes?
Yeah, I mean, we went to a couple different coverages. I think it was the rebounding and the transition that got us. Obviously, Brunson's a great player. Anunoby and Bridges separated it, with their scoring, and they beat us on the boards. I think they won the shot margin tonight. And like I said, in the third quarter, I thought their switching, their pre-switches, slowed us down a bit, and got the best of our pace in the third quarter.
Jonathan Buck.
Joe, it just felt like a common theme here. Game 1-2 in this game, maybe the lead wasn't quite as big, but it just felt like the Knicks got into a rhythm that you could never break. What goes into that, and why has a team like yours been so good defensively? What's kind of prevented you from getting the stops?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good offensive team, so I think a lot of it had to do with the rebounding and the transition because of our offensive execution at times, and their guys stepped up. They made plays today.
With your season on the line and the concerns about Jason, there's obviously a veteran group, but how do you get them ready and to fight for Game 5 for their season?
I mean, they'll be ready. I mean, that's just who they are. It's been that way. It's the locker room that they have, and they'll be ready. So, you trust the character of the guys in moments like this, and you take it one game at a time.
Well, a couple questions, Jerry.
Joe, you did foul Mitchell Robinson a lot today. What is that?
He wasn't in the bonus as much as we were at other times. They did a good job of taking him out right before. We just didn't have the opportunities didn't present itself as much as it did the other two games. Thanks.
And that's it. Joe Mazzulla, pretty somber at the podium, not giving updates, but you can tell, right? I mean, he knows. They know.
Yeah, they're gonna wait for the official word, but I think he's got a pretty good idea of
They
what's
all
going
know.
on back there.
They know. You know. Everybody knows what's going on. And Jimmy, I know you texted me off to the side here. I'm going to share it with the people, but no, I'm not going to put it up there. I'm just going to say, because it's my sentiment, is we were going to do a regular post-game show. It's not like we have fun killing people, but we had a lot to say about the game itself. And I wanted to hear what people here thought about the game. But this changes everything. And I know people are angry, and a lot of people are kind of directing that anger towards, certain people on the Celtics right now. And some of it is deserved. Some of it is not. I'm not going to make excuses for the entire Celtics team, but I'm going to say what we said at the beginning of the playoffs. And that's before we knew anything about Kristaps Porzingis, that the Jaylen Brown injury was going to be something that was going to be a problem. And if they lost prematurely, we were going to point to it and say, wow, that was the reason. I mean, Brown, without his, I'm going to go back to it again. Without his athleticism, Brown is a really, really frustrating and imperfect player because he's got a sloppy handle. Sometimes he makes questionable basketball decisions. And he takes dumb fouls, not a great team defender, all of these things. But that physicality and when he's locked in and dialed in separates him from a lot of other people because he's able to lock down other teams' best defenders or physically take over games when things aren't going great. And so you take the good with the bad. And I said it earlier, Brown's sapped of his athleticism is a borderline, I wouldn't say detriment, but he's just a far, far lesser player. So you were playing with
his skill.
You're playing with less cards in the deck to begin this series. Then the mystery Porzingis illness. I don't know who this guy is. It's just some 7-footer out there. He doesn't resemble anything that Kristaps Porzingis does well or has ever done well in his life. So you're playing down,
He's like Sean Bradley all of a sudden, dude.
You're like 70% of Jaylen Brown, but like 5% of Kristaps Porzingis, which is baffling. So Tatum goes into freaking hero mode today. And you might have needed – that's why we said Tatum's got to be his best. He's got a hero mode game on his own, and he did. And they were still going to lose this before the injury, which is crazy how little help he got in this game today. He wasn't perfect, but he did everything he possibly could. Single-handedly offensively. Carried the offense. They couldn't get anything going, which is baffling, right? Because the way they started this game, everything was beautiful, right? Ball movement, got everything they wanted to get. Defense was locked in. But then that 39-point third quarter, and Brunson went on a heater, and he'll do that. He's great that way, even with good defense. But man, they just
the burner.
Yeah, he just went nuts.
But in that quarter, John,
and again, I'm not making the excuses. It's hard to watch the Celtics like this because you're looking for help and you realize it's not coming, right?
Yeah. Well, before Tatum got hurt, I think Tatum. He's if he didn't get hurt, he would get criticized for the third quarter where the ball wasn't moving as much. But here's the thing: he just went through 2.5 quarters where he was getting no help, and so is it a stretch to think that he's believing? You know what? We're still hanging in here, and I'm getting no help. I gotta keep doing more. I gotta keep doing more because no one else is stepping up. It was Tatum Island all game long for the Celtics. With him being the one inhabitant of Tatum Island. And that's not how this team wins. And when they don't play as a collective group, they're going to get their asses kicked. And the Knicks, conversely, you can talk about Jalen Brunson all you want, but you look at Bridges, you look at Towns, you look at OG, who had a little hammy issue that put him on the sideline for a minute. He came back, McBride off the bench. I mean, it was just one after the other, after the other, after the other. Players who were able to allow the Knicks to either stay afloat or surge ahead, and all Tatum had was me, myself, and I.
Bridges was huge for them in the fourth. OG was huge for the Knicks in
Yeah,
this game.
they were great.
And that's kind of been the story in these wins for these Knicks teams is that, yeah, Brunson tonight was the guy, and he was the clutch player, and he was the third quarter, 18 points, and all those things. But the Knicks are getting a lot of help from their role guys and like the OGs and the like I said, OG Hart. You had Bridges I mentioned earlier. McBride chipped in, but you're not getting that enough from the Celtics. You just really aren't. And I mean, you can go down the line tonight. You mentioned Porzingis. You mentioned Brown. But really, I mean, Holiday hurt them, I thought, tonight. Missed some wide open shots. Al Horford didn't make much noise tonight. I mean, Derek White, again, he had a good start to this game, but not much from him down the stretch at all.
Well,
nothing from the bench tonight. So again, I mean, it's Tatum. It was Tatum and everybody else tonight. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize Tatum for, a few of those deep threes that maybe we typically would, kick yourself or, kick and scream over, because tonight that was still your best option of scoring. There just wasn't enough from the rest of the team. And I didn't really see anyone trying to get themselves going. I think, Brown took himself out of the game in that fourth quarter with 10 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. Stupid foul after a bad turnover. And that was after he basically got bailed out of the fifth foul right before that. Mm-hmm. I thought that was going to get overturned. It didn't. And he just committed a foul right after that. John, you're muted.
And two stupid offensive fouls in the first half as well, which again, they don't seem like a big thing, but like, Jesus Christ, you guys have
turnovers too.
You've played Jalen Brunson before. You have the internet. You understand that he's a master class grifter who draws, or just Google it. He draws more offensive fouls than anybody. He waits for you to lean into him on those mismatches in the post, and he absorbs the contact and friggin' goes down. That's not you. Celtics have committed how many of those? Wake up, man. Like, that's got to be better there. But yeah, Brown, the decision making, man. God, so frustrating. I'm going to go back. Not even a critical moment of the game, but the first quarter, everything is flowing. And what happens? Tatum and Brown stopped the offense and went into Hero Brown 3-point mode, going for kill shots early. Like, you got to be smarter and got to have better discipline than that. It's extremely frustrating. So, I don't know. It's bad, man.
It really would. I mean, we can go on and on about pretty much any single player tonight, Tatum aside, that just disappointed. And it's sad because this was their, I think everyone kind of figured the winner of tonight's game was going to be a heavy favorite to go on and win that series, because you get the Knicks a 3-1 lead, regardless of what happened to Tatum. They'd have the momentum. And then maybe if you win that fourth game, like, you're playing good basketball at that point. The Celtics, on the other hand, if they can even this series up, go back home, I don't know many people that would take the Knicks at that point. So, knowing all that, with all that on the line, just to have Tatum as the only guy that really played like a playoff basketball game tonight, it's just so frustrating, because you watch this team for the majority of the 82-game season. This was a connected, well-oiled machine basketball, well-oiled machine in terms of a basketball team. They had like a 6-week stretch where they hit a little bit of funk, and we all fooled ourselves into believing that they needed to go through that. They needed to, feel some, turmoil and sort of overcome these obstacles. As long as they were healthy, they were going to be fine in the playoffs. We kind of ignored some of those patterns. And I think the Celtics, and again, the old saying, you live by the 3, you die by the 3, they may have a little bit relied on that 3 a little bit too much. And again, tonight, they're not finding other ways to not only score, but to get back and play defense when they're not scoring. That's really what it is, right, Sherrod? I mean, it's the lack of defense and not being able to stop those New York Knicks runs that Brunson was leading. It's like, that's where the pride comes in. On the nights where your shot isn't falling or where you can't figure out a way to get to the line or score, you have to figure out ways to shut down the other team. Do not let them go on those runs. They let the Knicks back in it. The Celtics were in control again going into the second half. They were in control of this game. The way they let the Knicks, I think they outscored them by 13 points in the third quarter. It's an unacceptable way to come out of halftime in a game where if you close this Knicks team out, you go back to Boston with all the momentum. And they came out as flat as they could be. They let Brunson run the show and look by and far the best player on that court. Tatum did not have a great third quarter by any stretch. That was worst quarter. He did what he could in the fourth quarter, but nobody else sort of came by his side. Again, Brown took himself out of the game. And at that point, Celtics kind of felt like they were scrambling a little bit to get anything going.
No, the defense point, Jimmy, you make is a good one, because I thought this was by far the worst game they've had defensively in this series. They just could not
They were
stop.
getting body on the boards too.
Yeah, they were getting their ass kicked from inline to inline all really for most of the game. Even when they were winning and they were knocking on all those damn threes, New York still had the edge from a physicality standpoint. And that eventually caught up with the Celtics. I mean, the Knicks fans were upset that, the Celtics had going to the free throw line. But the reason they were going to the free throw line was because the Knicks weren't giving them easy looks. They weren't giving them layups. And they fouled them on a couple of jump shots too, which was just, bad defense on the Knicks part. But overall, Knicks physicality over the course of the game seemed to wear down the Celtics, where a lot of those shots that they were knocking down early on, they just didn't seem to have the lift or the ability to be as consistent and anywhere close to being as consistent in the second half, except for Tatum, who he had his one rough patch. But overall, Tatum was, again, he was their only source of consistent offense from beginning to end. And that's not how this team won a championship. They won a championship because Tatum may have been their best scorer, but he wasn't the only scorer, particularly in crunch time. They're quite non-fast.
They won a championship because we said, how deep are these guys 1 through 6? It was insane. I mean, there were no gaps. They were connected. Right. They were switching. They were, tenacious on the defensive side of the ball. Again, I always go back to having the best two-way backcourt in the NBA with White and Holiday. Disappointed.
They got torched. Yeah, they got torched by.
Absolutely.
And Brunson is good, but damn,
they were getting caught.
This was a master class on how to get your ass kicked as a guard. Brunson did. I mean, just the mastery, the trickery, the fadeaway, getting to the basket, offensive rebounds. He's the smallest guy on the floor. I think he had like 2 or 3 offensive rebounds. That should never happen, even on long rebounds. There's a lot for the Celtics to digest going back home. With or without Tatum's injury, this is, Game 5 is going to be very, very daunting for them.
I mean, they have to really, for whatever it's worth, they have to focus on Game 5. And I know that's probably really, really difficult because just like we are, I'm sure they're thinking about what the hell's going to happen now in this offseason. Because I don't even want to jump ahead to that, but there are just this Tatum thing could potentially completely alter the direction that this franchise was even thinking about going, with the way that the roster was constructed, some of the decisions that they already had to make with a fully healthy roster, some of the guys that maybe were available, some of the guys that maybe you thought you were more likely to think about trading than not. Can you trade them still? Are you more likely to trade them now? Or do you consider, there's just so many questions. And again, I don't want to speculate until we know exactly what's up with Tatum. But if you're talking about something that could potentially cost him the majority, if not all of next season, then again, you have some serious decisions to make, because with the new ownership group coming in that already had their eyes on that those taxes, tell you what, you don't want to be throwing money away. For a team
you don't pay all this damn money for a second round team. Yeah.
Look, this was that change.
If you're lucky,
no matter what. Look,
it was, but now it's like, whoa.
Can I say what got me in trouble when we first launched this show all those years back?
Sure.
It would have been better if he tore his ACL.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I'm going to say right now, I don't want to, what sucks right now? Everyone rushes out there to make that declaration of just how bad it is. And I don't want to be that guy, because nobody likes that guy. And there's going to be a lot of that guy out there right now. But it's the history of people, Kevin Durant notwithstanding, the history of people who've come back after Achilles injuries and been close to their former selves is small. Even younger people, it is not a great injury. It saps you oftentimes of a lot of your explosiveness. It's really, really just the timing of the year. You've probably lost all of next year, and then coming back from it is not always guaranteed. And so the idea that Jason Tatum might not be Jason Tatum again has to enter the convo. And that is the worst part of all of this. Like, the blow up or some version of it was coming next year.
Yeah.
Like, something
I
was
would say
going to happen.
there was going to be at least a move.
There was going to be changes. It was going to be build
changes,
and retool on the fly. Kind of a not a rebuild, but a let's retool on the fly. Let's hold on to
Recalibrate.
some pieces. Yeah. Take one step
yeah.
back to take a step back to take two steps forward would be the hope. But that was going to happen, and that happens a lot in the NBA. It's like the two stars look around and be like, "Where'd everybody go? You guys we were awesome. We had an awesome team." And so you just can't afford everybody. NBA reality. It's coming. It was coming for the Celtics. We've known it for a long time. But what happens with Tatum going forward and who he is and what that's going to look like is crazy. You're going to go a season without him if this is the Achilles. And again, everybody praying it's something else. So we'll see. We've got Al Horford. We're going to hear from him. We want to quickly tell you, for those people here who are new, because we have a lot of people here watching the show right now. Some Knicks fans here taking a victory lap, and that's fine. But some people just looking for some sort of update to Tatum or reaction who might be entirely new to this show. We are CLNS Media. We do this after every single game. It's the Garden Report Postgame Show. Garden Report is something we've been doing at CLNS since its inception back in 2009, featuring Jimmy Toscano. Jimmy, Sherrod, and I have all covered the Celtics for NBC Boston, NBC Sports Boston. In the past, Sherrod is a let's go ahead and say lifelong NBA journalist covering the NBA, Detroit Pistons, Boston Celtics, general NBA stuff. Jimmy's a cool dude, who does lots of cool things. Easy, plays a little music.
Party, man. Yeah.
Here for the party. Bobby Manning, Noa Dalzell, every game they travel. They're reporters. They're in the field. Every day we do a post-game show, breaking news, tons of other Celtics stuff on our channels. Subscribe to it on the Celtics CLNS Media Network. You'll find Sherrod's podcast on there. You'll find me and Cedric Maxwell on there. You'll find Toscano, Garden Report, Noah, Bobby over on the Celtics All Access, host of other people, Celtics Beat with Adam Kaufman, Evan Valenti, the Goodman, Ryan, Tangway, doing their thing over there. Tons and tons and tons and tons of Celtics coverage. You can find it over there. On the Celtics All Access channel. So subscribe, please. Thank you very much. For
Gary
those
must be fuming.
You can get this podcast in audio form as well. If you want to listen to the audio, please rate and review it as well. The story of the day is Jason Tatum, and of course, that's where most of the questioning postgame has gone. Let's hear from Al Horford after the game.
Get to rhythm early in third quarter and keep it going.
Yeah. I feel like they, our defense just wasn't good for the first time in 4 games. Defensively, we didn't play to our standard, we have to get together tomorrow, look at this film, and be better, because just defensively, just giving up a lot of shots that we haven't been, and giving them momentum. So definitely have to be better defensively to give ourselves a chance.
There's a game in like less than 48 hours. How do you guys kind of get over the emotional toll? Kind of focus and come together, in the series is over, because it's going to looks like it's tough.
No question about it. It is an uphill battle, but for our group, we have to turn that page quickly and do our first job, which is to win on Wednesday. That's the mindset, and as a group we just have to rally together. Because obviously we've lost our lead, and that gets us going. We have to come together as a group.
When you see something like that, you've been around your whole career, this whole career. How concerning is that? And what do you kind of think about in that moment?
Well, it's very concerning. Just from the care that I have for him, and what he means to us, what he means to Boston. it's just very tough for us, and more importantly, it's just really tough for him right now. So let's see what happens. But just be tough for our group altogether.
Do you guys just feel very down? How would you characterize just the move right now overall with both the loss and then?
And the loss is the loss. More importantly, it's just something that I'm worried about, and just making sure that I'm there for him, and that's my priority.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I will say this. When you're waiting for medical updates, that's one thing. You're never going to get anything from the coach. In situations like this, the player reaction tells you everything. They give it away. They can't not, because they're human and they see it and it just spills out of them. They know what happened. They know how bad it is. They're there. They're on the court. They see him.
This isn't like a Hauser sprained ankle.
The dude's crying on the court. He grabbed it right away. They knew it was bad. He probably heard him say, "It's my Achilles, man. I heard it pop." Like they're there. They heard all of it. They know it's, again, this would be the greatest. I want to make fun of Jason Tatum when he's listed as probable tomorrow on the injury report, and this ended up being just him overreacting to something that wasn't that bad. That would be the best. I want to call him a baby for flipping out. I don't think that's what happened here. I want him to take the mantle from Paul Pierce going out in a friggin' wheelchair.
Oh, the wheelchair, yes.
And then
Pierce came back
in the
that
game.
same game, though, man.
Pierce came back that game. Oh, I'm dead. He got me. This is real, I think. And it's all bad. Derek White's at the podium. We're gonna listen in.
Yeah,
it's all
and
bad,
honestly, that's
baby.
our brother, and so you hate to see him go down, and like we just know the type of guy he is, and it's tough to see him go down, but obviously right now it's pretty low because of the game, and we just gotta find a way to win Game 5.
The third quarter, guys go 14, all of a sudden they start going on their run where they can't miss. It's the third game that's happened. Why has the defense been unable to kind of get those timely stops?
I think we just gotta be better. Obviously some are tough shots, and but you just gotta find a way to get a stop, especially in those moments. And they were just better than us today.
Derek, Joe kept mentioning the transition defense, the offensive rebounds. Obviously, they run on double big lineup, so it's tough sometimes. But what else can you guys do to sort of hone back in on those things? Because it seemed like there was more success in game 3 than it's back to the same issues in game 1 too.
Yeah, just gotta find a way. Whoever's out there, whatever it takes, and just find a way. So, find a way.
Derek, did you see him at all in the locker room? Was he there to be able to check in with them, get a chance to talk to him or anything?
No, I ain't see him. But he knows that we love him, and I'll see him soon.
Derek, how hard is it to focus on, game 5 like this coming up? When obviously there's a basketball game and then there's seeing what happens. So like you just called the Frodo. Like how hard is it to focus on what is going to be an important game with everything?
Yeah, like I said, it's tough to see him go down, but we got to find a way to win Game 5. Like that's where we're at right now. We just got to find a way to win.
Any sense of you feel kind of, how would you, like, stunned or shocked to be in this position?
And it's not like we planned to be in this position, but we are where we are, and got to find a way to win Game 5.
Thank you, Derek.
Derek, sticking to the script. Got to win Game 5.
Both teams
play hard.
It is what it is. And again, Jason Tatum, we know now, we've seen it. It's the scene was terrible, just terrible with him going off the court there in a wheelchair after the game, head in his hands, brutal stuff there with, you see the shots here immediately grabbing right behind it when he goes down. You see him being helped off. The leg is just straight and stiff. I mean, we all saw it. So, I don't know if it's just agony reliving it for everybody. But again, it's really, really hard to have any conversation outside of that and what's going on here. And honestly, I kind of do wish, there's
It just didn't bend like an ankle sprain.
no. Everyone saw it. You have slowed down from the back injury now, and you have people talking about seeing the ripple and seeing it's always the push off and right to the ground is always the telltale, and that's just that's
Oh,
I'm
there's
not
even
playing,
more out there.
Yeah, I'm not playing Twitter doctor. It's just you go along with what people who know more than you know say.
Well, and we've seen many players through the years wind up with a injury and the way their body responded in that moment is very similar, with Achilles injuries that we've seen in the past. I'm with you, John. I hope that Tatum, that this was just much ado about nothing. That'd be great. But this just doesn't feel like that at all.
It does not. It does not. It does not. So it is depressing. I'm sorry. A couple people in the chat like, guys, this is depressing. I don't know what else to do here. Like I said,
It is depressing. And you want us to
we
lie
were
to
gonna
you?
come in. We were going to come in and rage about the game and then feel better. That would have been cathartic about it. And then, see if they had a 3-1 comeback in them. But it's hard to do that at this point. It's a sad reality. I don't know where to go with stuff. I guess sometimes money makes us feel better. So
we've got a few people who've chimed in super
for all
chats.
of you people donating money to try to cope with your sadness, we do appreciate it. You can support the Garden Report Postgame Show through super chat donations.
Take it.
And I guess the rules. You use super chat. We put it on the screen. We talk about it. So I'm going to rip through a couple of them here. And guys, I'll bounce a few off of you as well. G. Morlowski, if Celtics want to show they are truly a great team, now they're going to get their chance. I hope this isn't the nail in the coffin of Tatum's legacy. That's the fear, right? You don't know the long-term implications or ramifications, what's going on here. GOAT, kind of what we're all saying here. I'm legit emotional over Tatum. It's sad. It is.
It's
sad.
It is sad. I got friends texting me. Everyone's just super bummed about it. And
our Australian buddy Dirk with the customary 1111 super chat. Thanks, Dirk. That pop sound was the sound of the window shutting.
Jeez.
Not the time to talk through this, but no way ownership digs up $500 million for next season. Shaking my head. Worst luck. Love you all, Celtics and C's. We love you too, Dirk. And again,
thanks, Dirk.
That's the story. It's the story now. But it will be the story. We're not going to talk about it now. We're going to slow play it a little bit. I'm told Jaylen Brown.
We're going to have a lot of time to talk.
Coming to the podium in a minute, so I'll put it up here, and when we see Jaylen, we'll shut it down ourselves.
And just getting back to that first super chat real quick. I hope this isn't the nail in the coffin of Tatum's legacy. I wouldn't say it's the nail in the coffin of his legacy. This guy's 27 or how old is this guy? I don't even remember, but
26, 27, something like that.
26,
Jalen's
27.
28. I know.
I mean, he was on his way to 50 points tonight before it slowed down a touch there at MSG. So
try doing that with one Achilles.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
and just the whole talk about Tatum and his legacy. I mean, his legacy is cemented regardless of what happens in the series. Tatum is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. If he decided to never play basketball again, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You start looking at his credentials compared to guys like Tracy McGrady and there's some other guys who got in. It's a no-brainer. So legacy is not an issue. The issue is whether he can come back and play at a level that he's accustomed to and the Celtics are accustomed to. That's really the issue.
I mean,
I was told Jaylen was coming, but we'll hold off on it. And that is the issue. That is going to be the story is you're going to have to wait a year and then some
to find
you're
out.
going to have to wait potentially 2 years to find out. That's what's crazy is you're going to hold your breath on the Celtics legacy. And here is Jaylen Brown walking up on the Celtics future and not have a freaking clue what's going on.
I know.
For a while.
Crazy.
Let's hear from Jaylen.
Obviously, you've been Jason's teammate for 8 years, and see him go down like that. What's going through your head now? How
tough. There's not really a lot to say.
Follow question, fellas. Come on, let's go.
We didn't say much. Felt like we just, it wasn't a lot to say. Obviously, JT, everybody's concerned with him. But tonight, defensively, our defense let us down. Just no resistance.
Jalen, obviously, basketball, like you guys are going back to Boston for Game 5, when something like this happens, like this is bigger than that. How do you focus on what is going to be like a season-deciding game when something like this is?
Yeah, we take the night and get back up tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day, and we go from there.
Have you gotten a chance to talk to Jason since the game?
No, I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, I think tonight is tough. I think everybody's kind of in a loss for words, just because, one, losing the game, but obviously the concern with JT. But we pick our heads back up tomorrow and go from there.
Jalen, as a leader, how do you just kind of emerge from this and maybe put your hands
As the captain,
arms around and just say, hey, let's do this?
Yeah, I mean, that's all that can be said. Get ready for the next one. Get ready to fight. Get ready to come out on our home floor and do what we need to do. That's the goal. It's still the goal. We got enough in this locker room. So I believe in my guys. We just, tonight defensively, it was terrible defensively tonight, to be frank. Just no resistance. We was just too concerned. Offense was great. Offense was fine. We made a lot of shots, but just no resistance on defense.
Obviously, there's a lot of concern for Jason. How do you digest what it could mean for him, what it could mean to the franchise if it's as bad as it looks?
I'm not sure. I got no words right now.
Jalen, you talk about taking the night. Do you let all the thoughts when it comes to this series, what happened to Jason, what this might mean for the future of the franchise, do you let everything just kind of free flow and digest it as it comes, or how do you process everything and then try to ultimately get ready for Game 5?
I guess you just take it as it comes. You get whatever information is needed. Tomorrow we'll know more or find out more. And then we still got basketball to play on our home floor, so we come out and we come out and play Celtic basketball.
Last question.
A little bit of shock? Like, how would you describe just overall what the sense of the guys is right now?
I think everybody's concerned, with Jason. I'm not sure how bad it is. Didn't look great. But I think everybody is, kind of more concerned with that. Obviously, the loss is huge. And but we got to get ready for Game 5. So we'll take the night and pick our heads up tomorrow and put together a game plan to come out on our home floor to keep this series alive.
Thank you.
Let's think about Jimmy's question, or when Jimmy was talking earlier about legacy. And he was talking about Tatum. But I think going forward, I think this is the guy who, when you talk about legacy, there's something at stake for him. He was not good in this game. He has not been good in this series. And I know his health has had something to do with that. But he has an incredible opportunity to amplify his legacy beyond just what he did last season. If he can somehow, navigate this team past, this New York Knicks team. Because if
I know. Hi, Bobby.
Hey, guys.
Man, did they get a bad couple of games.
Because if the Celtics have any shot at finding a way to dig themselves out of this incredibly deep hole they're in, Jaylen Brown has to be the captain of that ship. He's got to be the one leading the way.
I don't think he's capable now, physically speaking, and I do think like my opinions on Brown, the player, are known. Like I've
You've been very consistent with that.
Well,
Yeah.
I think he's a
We don't need to
flawed
react.
player. No, I mean
Not today.
I see the good, I see the bad. He frustrates the hell out of me, and that's what it is. That'll never change. He's had moments where he's been absolutely the man and who's carried them and deserved finals MVP and conference finals MVP last year, and they don't win without him. All of those things. There's so many things that are true about Jaylen Brown. I will say, and thought he played like ass, in this game. I truly believe he's significantly limited. Twice he had opportunities at dunks under the basket and just couldn't get the ball over the rim. One in the first half where he missed it and he sent to the free throw line, and then one late. He's limited. He's clearly limited. So the idea of Jaylen Brown pulling a get on my back, boys, and willing the Celtics back healthy, I'd love to see it. I would love to see Jaylen go nuclear if he could. I don't think he can. I also think the chat's being unfair. You can be mad about Jaylen Brown, not love the way that he played, maybe not blame him for the Tatum injury, and maybe have a teeny bit of sympathy because I do believe that was genuine. He looked gutted up there. He looked really torn up. And I get, like we said it earlier after Al,
what you said, yeah.
the players say it all. So I understand we're mad and we're emotional, but we might be taking it out a little bit. We might be misplacing some of that anger. It's not Jaylen Brown's fault that he turned the ball over. It's just ironic that it happened, but it's definitely not that. As we said, it's a natural basketball play. It could happen to anybody, and it is. It is. I guess you're not listening. Literally.
Literally would never have happened.
Bobby and Noah, you saw they're coming off, so they're going to join us in the locker room. They're going to join us live here. We got 18,000 plus people watching us throughout all of our streaming platforms at the moment, including streaming on various X accounts and our 2 YouTube channels with over 4,000 people in here. So it's a very large audience. We're going to hang on here a little bit longer. We're going to rip through a few more super chats before these guys get in here. Grev, every time they run a play, and again, throw in a super chat. We'll put your comment up there. We'll answer your questions. We try to answer as many questions as we can. There's so many of you in here. It's really hard to keep up with the chat, so I do apologize if we miss stuff. But Grev, every time they run a play for Porzingis, they might as well throw the ball out of bounds. Yeah, he's, like I said, if Brown's at 70, what percentage you guys think Porzingis is?
40. At best, 40. And I'm being very optimistic when I say 40.
Yeah,
you get
maybe less.
30% for being able to run up and down the court. That's 30 in my book. Just being able to get from one end to the other.
He looks like he forgot what it is that he does out there.
Exactly.
And again, illness, non-illness, coming back from an illness, whatever it is, something happened to this guy. I don't know.
He forgot how to be a great basketball player.
Yes, and is really, really, really hurting the Celtics team. He's basically a complete non-factor out there. And yeah, I don't even know what his stats finished tonight, but so ineffective, so forgetful. If he never played, if he didn't play game 5, nobody would miss him. Nobody would even care.
Mr. Talk Heavy, KP, Sam, or Brown is definitely gone. Trust me, bro. My sources.
Nice.
Trust me, bro. Brown, the longest tenured player. Ask smart Brad, not afraid to put his chips on the table. Yeah, look, I don't want to go there. I almost find it's disrespectful. We're currently at the wake, and the funeral might be in 2 days. We got a long offseason to talk about who's going and who's not. It's not on my mind. It's been on my mind. I've got a lot of thoughts on it, but I think we'll stow that conversation.
Big changes.
But a lot is on the table for sure, and this impacts things even more. El Presidente, Nick Gelso, the haters can say what they want. Tatum is an NBA Iron Man. Exactly. Doesn't load manage. Agree. He plays every game. Isn't fair, and I feel bad for the dude. And then Nick's got to throw his profanity into it. Wouldn't be Gelso without something angry and profane. JB and
I think
KP
what Nick said sums up how a lot of people feel about Tatum.
It's true.
And
it's
about
true.
JB and
The little can the little can. I mean this in all honesty. I hope we trade every starter in the offseason.
Damn.
I'm tired of watching this weak shit where we just chuck threes down to open lanes and all they do is shoot threes. Tatum tries logo threes and this. Look, the Celtics are an interesting example of things working for you 1 year and then working for you less with the same cast of characters and no real understanding for why. So there's so many things the Celtics did last year, including shoot at an elite clip. They were down a little bit this year. They took them. They didn't make as many. But also just the starters and the way that they played together. There were just things that were different this year when they shouldn't have been. It should have been more of the same. We didn't get to see enough of it. So it is interesting that but it's amazing how quickly people go back to hatred here. I don't know what there is to hate about Derek White or Drew Holiday. I understand getting frustrated with Kristaps Porzingis' illness, but it isn't his fault. It wasn't the brittle, tall guy stuff that we all thought was going to happen, right? With Kristaps, he
knows,
has this
man?
weird illness that
yes.
Jimmy's dubious.
Oh boy.
Sure. Whatever. Let's just move on.
Let's move on. Eric Polanco, last super chat this year. Hey, we're back for game 5,
Thanks,
maybe 6, maybe 7. But thank you, Eric, for being a longtime viewer and contributor. We probably still lose. Yeah, the game was lost when Tatum went out. It has nothing to do with it. This version of the Celtics was flawed. See y'all next year. Guys, we talked about this. Your quick thoughts. We went through the debate. It's not the same as last year, is it? Even though they should be better, I thought on paper that they were better, because you had Tatum had leveled up. You had Pritchard, 6th man of the year, which wasn't a thing last year. There are reasons to believe they would and should have been better. Had some injuries and inconsistencies throughout the year, but they went through a stretch where it kind of made us forget about all of it. I think we're in our January frame of mind with the Celtics right now, rather than how they closed the season, which was kind of looking more like themselves. I don't know if they're flawed. I actually think most people would say they're the most complete team in basketball. So I'm not seeing the flaws. I just don't think they played well.
I disagree with with Eric on a flawed comment, because think about it. You want to have solid guard play. You want to have guys who can defend multiple. You want to have multi-positional players. You want to have a coach who has a track record of getting it done when it matters most. Joe Mazzulla has a championship chip to his credit. All the things that the boxes that you typically check off for teams being really good and have the potential to go deep into the playoffs and win a championship, the Celtics checks most, if not all, of those boxes. But this season, you had more injuries than you had the previous year. You had unexpected illnesses, which again compounded the injuries, and things just did not. And the other thing too, and you touched on it earlier, John, you had guys in different roles than they had last year when you won a championship. Pritchard had a much grander role, and as his role expanded, it's not a stretch to imagine the roles of others to some extent will contract. And so the chemistry of this team wasn't quite what it was a year ago, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that they're a hell of a team and should be one of the last teams standing when all said and done.
Real quick, I know you want to move on, John, but I'll say this. In the regular season, you had more help from guys like Pritchard, like Cornette. You had a great regular season from Al Horford. Porzingis, when he was in there during this season, I thought he was having one of his best regular seasons. You don't have any of that now. So you're not good enough to beat these good teams that are getting that are getting that help. This team, we said it, they aren't good enough to win unless they're a complete team. We said that this year throughout the regular season. We said if they lose players, they might not be good enough to overcome some of these opponents. They might not be talented enough. And that's exactly what's happening.
Throw in a couple more. Timmy, not overreacting. I don't want Joe, KP, and JB on this team. Hard foul could easily be his 5th. He was reckless. Joe not trying Keita to match Robinson. I don't know what Keita would have done in this series, but Timmy, thank you for the contribution. Again, a lot of frustration. I think
we'll never know.
Feelings people have and have had about Brown in the past or Joe because it's a love-hate thing with Joe. When it's going great, you love him, or you at least swallow it and acknowledge that it's going okay. But there's a lot of people out there who will look for opportunities to bury Joe, and times like this, that's going to come out for sure. Mr. Talk Heavy, definitely poignant moment for JT. Rest of the team still riding last year's championship mindset. Dudes got lazy. I don't know. I mean, did Brunson get hot, or did they get lazy on defense? They didn't play great. I think Brown was dreadful throughout. The guards are they got beat up a little bit, but were they lazy?
I'm not going to say that they were.
I think it's a combination. I think they just didn't have the level of focus that they need against a guy like Brunson. You got to lock in on him. You can't just be out there playing good defense, because he's going to absolutely torch you. And with him being a lefty, there were clear moments in the game where the Celtics were defending him as if he was a right-handed shooter. And that's, to me, again, that's a lack of focus more than anything else.
I think Knicks looked hungry tonight, though. Knicks looked like a team that want that ring. Celtics look like a team that just got that ring.
Well, they played like they knew that the winner of this game was going to win the series. They played with that sense of urgency from the very outset.
Couple more here. We'll rip through, and then we're going to get to Bobby and Noah. Absolutely the worst JB game in his career. I don't know. But prayers to JT. Heartbreaking end. Be stoic. Fourth quarter, self-destruct, no pace, no ball security, no ball movement, only contested shots. Tatum, prayers up for his health. Yeah, and again, this was the good and the bad of the Tatum performance.
Right.
Is he recognized early? He recognized at a certain point he wasn't going to need help, but then no one's going to get it going unless Tatum gets them going. Yeah. So while the burden was on him to score, it also negated his ability to kind of involve other people, and that definitely contributed. Okay, you paid $2 for it. Knicks in 5. Congratulations, D's vintage over here.
You did it, buddy.
Last two, and then we'll get to Bobby and Noah. Action Benz, longtime viewer here. What's up, man? Tatum injury saves Joe's job. He probably would have survived losing the series either way, but he's a below-average coach that had a wagon. Ouch.
Damn.
The Joe hate is coming, but Brian's here to protect Joe and defend him. I love Joe, but how much do we blame Joe for this one? Love you guys. Very sad. Very sad. We're going to head to Bobby and Noah in a second.
Do you blame Joe at all for this one?
Here.
I will. I'll toss some blame his way. Certainly.
You can.
Double-digit lead.
He's a factor.
Double-digit lead. You watched, in that third quarter, how many times could the Celtics could have called timeout there down the stretch? They kind of just waited for the Knicks to complete the comeback, and then the timeout came. So, that was
a 2-point game, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, what was it, like double? Again, it was double digits going in there, and you could see the momentum changing in the third quarter. You could see Brunson getting whatever he wanted, and that was when the game turned. So, again, were there adjustments made by Joe? Not really.
Yeah, we'll see. Tough game for both teams. From Sean Clark, hope Tatum bounces back soon. Got to give the Knicks their credit. They turned the series into a dogfight we weren't expecting. And last one here, and then we'll jump out. Bobby and Noah. Ungifted basketball. Firstly, great game. Second, as a Knicks fan, I hate seeing Tatum go down. He's playing incredible. Prayers up from New York. So some New York fans showing their love here. We'll head out to Bobby and Noah. And guys, we said it earlier that Joe's not going to give you any sort of update, which is understandable, but the players say it all. And their reaction to every single question that they were asked, you could tell how absolutely gutted they were. They know what happened. I think they're pretty certain they know exactly what happened. They're on the court with Tatum. They saw it. And so it's impossible to talk about anything other than the Tatum injury, not just for what it means today or tomorrow or this series, but the long-term implications. I don't even think we've begun wrapping our heads around, nor does anybody really want to.
Yeah, for sure. Game-changing night for the franchise here in the worst way. He's still here, or was, as we left the locker room in the training room. Didn't see him depart the building. Obviously, those tests are pretty quick to confirm Achilles, so I'm surprised we haven't heard at this point if that is the case there. But Given the non-contact, given that there was no ankle turn, I of course thought it was an ankle turn originally just by how it looked in that moment. Maybe thought someone fell on his leg. You know, we're way up high there. It's tough to see, but on the replay, it is pretty clear what happened there. And if that is the case, yeah, this is a even more turbulent summer ahead for this team than we possibly could have imagined.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to start with this one, honestly. The game that we were watching, this back and forth game, really high level game, it just feels like a distant memory, honestly. I don't remember the last time that something was feared to be an Achilles tear and ended up not being that. It feels like one of those injuries that just, if it looks like an Achilles tear and everybody's saying it is, it is. And so right now that certainly feels like what it is. And obviously I've only been covering this team since the beginning of last year, but that was just a really stunning sight, just being in that locker room. Just the silence. It just felt like an air of grief, really.
Some real emotion on Horford's face, too.
Everybody. I mean, Horford, Drew, Sam Hauser, who was in street clothes, just, just so many images that I don't think I'm ever going to forget of just, you could feel that you were witnessing like history in the worst way, really.
Hauser left the locker room and just sat on the floor outside the locker room for a good 5 minutes. And just
really bad. And I would imagine that they probably do know at this point, but I saw Tatum's mom kind of frantically running. He has a lot of people that are very close to him with the organizations that are not on this team, between Emil Jefferson, the assistant coach, and Nick Sankis, trainer. And I think those are the people that were kind of first to him. I don't think any of the players at least told us that they haven't gotten a chance to speak with him, but maybe they did. But yeah, it's hard to think about this game, honestly, or this series, because this just feels so much bigger than that. Like, these moments that you hear about 3 years later, like it's just awful, really.
For the healthiest guy too in the NBA, never injured, as durable as it gets, plays every minute. And with 10 minutes to go, he's out of the game and he's got 32 minutes. And I'm like, get him out there. He can get to 42. He does it all the time. And, they're still there at that point, down 9. There's still a slight chance with 3 minutes left that you could claw your way back into this one, even though the game was going away from them at rapid pace at that point. And it's just a frantic turnover, a freak play, and obviously a non-contact injury in that moment too. So I don't know how you regroup after something like that. Obviously, they played 3 more minutes and the game just effectively ran out the rest of the way. This place was going absolutely nuts. Everyone's chanting Knicks in 5. You guys heard from Brown. He's going to have to be the guy who regroups, probably plays pretty much every minute of that game, rips it out. Yeah, it's a ghastly sight here for this team.
And I will just say,
this is outside the Garden right here. They just closed it down. Wow. This is their championship apparently.
And
fair to them. This was a massive game, massive win, and a massive series. But I will say, like, to the Knicks fans, you get to know these fan bases, and you don't want to make an impression too much off of little things, but sometimes you do. I thought I said there was a lot of class in this building. Honestly, a lot of people who you could just feel held their breath when Tatum went down. That really, like, you could just tell everybody on the other team, everybody in the arena, like, everybody really, it was just an awful moment. And so I don't know, sometimes you hear about, a guy falls and the opposing teams, cheering or whatever. This was the exact opposite of that. Honestly, that's kind of what made me realize how serious it was, because again, we have a tough vantage point, but you could just feel the air just completely out of this place. And even after the game, like, some of the Knicks fans, like, there was this weird feeling where you could feel like, obviously they're thrilled and you could see those people there, but there were a lot of people that you could tell that, like, what we had just seen and seeing him getting carried off in the wheelchair and all of it was just kind of a dark sight.
And he was great tonight. Hunted matchups, hit 6-7 threes, right? Pretty much carried the offense. Things got bogged down at times, but he did everything he could to put them in position to win up to that point, and was still hunting matchups at that point, was still grinding out high minutes here. Obviously shouldered an enormous defensive load in this series guarding Towns. This series was a good example with him of the amount of stuff that he does for this team and the advantages he gives them across the game here. There's no way of replacing it. There's absolutely no way. You're extremely fortunate to have a player like Brown who can step into those shoes. But this team's strength is having both of those guys. And again, Porzingis, the position he's in right now, and so many guys hurt, so many guys worn down through this run here. Joe talked about it before the year, right? You're not promised that repeat attempt. And stuff like this can drastically alter your fortune. I know they're going to go down 3-1 regardless, even if he didn't get injured there in all probability. But this is something that makes even the wildest of comebacks impossible here. And again, this year, I'm not going to declare it over yet. We'll get to Game 5 and all that stuff down the line here, but the Hauser
Bobby,
injury,
you're done.
the
You're done.
Porzingis stuff,
you're done with declarations for this season.
It's just
yeah.
I'll take a big L on this series. I was blown away by the Knicks. The intensity they played with tonight. You guys talked about all the defensive stuff, the way they just blew by the Celtics again. I didn't see this kind of effort in this team, and so I was totally wrong about the Knicks. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep. Rough one. We have to fire through a few more super chats. We'll post some of them to you guys here to comment quickly on as we rip through. Let's see. Mr. Talk Heavy Joe was a little nebulous. Respect the player privacy. And again, no one's going to come out there and say what it is, but most people, their faces, their expressions, their tone definitely said it. Next year's going to be a lost. Next year's going to be a lost year. Chisholm is cleaning house. Hate to say it. That tech nerd is elated. He doesn't have to foot the bill. I mean, again, it's a conversation that's going to start happening now, but we have a lot of time to have it. So I don't want to go deep into the offseason stuff. But yes, this changes a lot.
A lot
for this, because no matter what, the load up and win for a year is out the window, guys, right? The preserve it. If they win it, you think he keeps it together for one more. And, even though that seemed unlikely, like with Jason Tatum potentially not playing for a full year, how do you even view next season? You almost want
to view it in the long-term sense, right?
You almost have to view it
next year.
You almost have to view it as like, you would almost ideally, and again, not everyone might get this. You might want to view this like a Peyton Manning situation when he went down and they just went to the bottom with a really good team and then drafted Andrew Luck and came back up and were instantly good again. Like, you almost want to bottom out if you're the Celtics, but you can't control all of it.
2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Warriors. I mean, again, I don't know how much you guys have forecast the future here and how much we want to.
Not a ton, because we're going to have that convo a lot. Yeah. But go ahead, Noah.
No, just I'm thinking, beyond potentially.
We're playing
beyond potentially missing. Beyond potentially missing a season here, like Achilles tears, which is, again, I think the very loud elephant in the room, they're career altering. And, I do think that Tatum has a incredible work ethic and he's been so durable and all these things. But the first thing I thought when I started seeing Achilles all over my Twitter feed and kind of getting that picture is like, this is something that's really, really altered, guys' careers. Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, like you come back, but for this to happen in the middle of his prime, like that's really all
Can we run down the list? Run down the list of people who've come back
and
run down the list of people who've come back from Achilles tears and looked even close to the same. Kevin Durant, end of list.
Yeah.
That's it.
And even it's not the same, but
in all sports, that's it. And Durant was older. He was pretty close to the same
Who's gone through
guy.
it at this age? I can't even think of a name.
I mean, again,
I'm
we
like
can pull it up.
right now.
But you see it in a lot of sports. It's the key to explosion. You just come back oftentimes just a less athletic version of yourself. Low key, among the worst injuries you could suffer is this and patellar. Those are really, really hard to come back. That's why I got the ACL thing on it. But yeah,
it was bizarre. I didn't get a good look at it too, and I want to mention this because I think Bobby Kravitsky posted it. He was getting the ankle area looked at right before that too. Something seemed to be bothering him there moments before the injury actually happened there. So, I don't know what kind of lead up there is to something like this, or discomfort you might feel as you approach that point of a tear or rupture or whatever you want to call it here. But something did seem to be bothering him, John. I don't want to speculate here, but didn't it seem like he had trouble separating for a lot of the series? There didn't seem to be the usual burst. There didn't seem to be the separation he typically creates. I'm not sure if that's a factor or if something was going on with that ankle area even previous to this. But it was interesting. I saw that on Twitter that he was getting it looked at right before he went into the game and ended up suffering that injury there. I got to go take a look back to that whole section.
And it's hard because they're all, we saw, in this arena, you can see everybody's work in the middle of the locker rooms, all the training stuff. You realize that all of them are dealing with 35 different injuries and they're all taped up. And so the injury report looks clean, but it's the farthest thing from it. And so definitely, I think there can be contributing factors here. The calf is the first one that you look at, and Lord had a whole situation there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there any from what you guys are seeing online, is there any chance that this is not an Achilles tear? Are there other theories out
I
there?
mean, all the Twitter,
those.
all of the Twitter doctors, and again, I say Twitter doctors, I don't mean Jimmy, and his
No,
cousin
like
Sal.
Cousin Joey?
All of the people that consistently chime in, and I follow a zillion of them, consistently chime in with the best analysis that they can give based off of the video that they see on the games. I mean, 100%. Like, I guess it's a couple would say, I guess ankle or a break or something is possible, but it just looks, it's classic Achilles.
There was no turn,
Somebody
though,
said
right?
distal fibular fracture could be possible because
But there's no video of the Achilles popping back the way that you sometimes get, because that's what I haven't seen. in
One
Achilles.
guy claimed from the back you could see something. I didn't see it when I looked at the video, but most of it was all based on the mechanism of the push off, and then immediately lifting the leg up, and then fall in crumpling down. Which is very, very, very there. And Ben Vallis, host of the First of the Floor podcast, says there's video of the pop. I saw one from behind, but I couldn't see it. But maybe it was just grainy there.
Yeah,
So
it is something
it looked
you typically
very
hear
much like
fast,
it.
though, right?
You hear, but they don't have to announce it until it's confirmed. So even if right now internally they all know what it is, Damian Lillard, it was the next day where Shams tweeted it out. I
Yeah.
think everybody knew 2 seconds later. So the silence, it doesn't really mean anything.
I mean, you got Knicks players saying, thoughts and prayers to Tatum in the press conferences. So
right. I mean, you have all of Twitter, all these NBA players from all over the place are sharing their well wishes. I don't know. It's so hard to even this game was a disaster in a lot of ways. I felt like in the first half they had control of it, but they should have been up by 20 and they just made so many mistakes defensively, rebounding. And then Jalen really had one of the worst games I've seen him play in a long time, which was unfortunate timing. And then in the fourth quarter, you could just feel like this Celtics team wanted nothing to do with the Knicks in crunch time. Like even when it was tied, you could tell they wanted nothing to do with it. They have trauma from games 1 and 2. So it's like on one hand, there is a game to discuss, and I'm sure you guys did it a little bit, but even asking the players, they kept mentioning the defense, and I was like, do you guys want us to ask you about the defense right now? Because who really cares?
Joe kept bringing it back to the game too, and the game
Jalen
was
too. It's like you could tell that was what they were trying to do, but
the game was stunning, and it just you came to this realization mid-game, and Noah hit a lot on the defense, rightfully so. But you look up and you see the amount of threes they're taking, and you see how well they're shooting from three, and they didn't create much separation there, and that's when you really start to get worried. Because as that gap narrows, it's going to become a closer game. You're going to have to get to other spots to be able to score. And they hit some tough twos in this game, but they were really difficult.
I mean, it was a brilliant shot making game for Tatum, which is ironic that that's how it ends, because it was the one that we were all waiting for. And I kept thinking to myself, if they can hold on, this is going to be a playoff moment, right? The ones that everybody hypes up and talks about, and he needs more of these. It was happening in Madison Square Garden right there. And then it wasn't going to happen anyways before the injury, but it felt like it for a moment, like you might actually get this quintessential game, right? Added to the list with the 2023 games, like the few that everybody keeps pointing to. And then it just ironically goes in the exact opposite direction.
Just blew my mind though, all series. No ability to get to the paint area, the deep paint area where you could pass out of there, where you could score and get to the free throw line, all those things. That's the area they really missed in the series. The Knicks sold out to take it away, and they did a brilliant job being able to do that and limit the threes at times and be able to force tough contests from the mid-range. What a masterclass by Thibodeau here on the defensive end. And again, something I totally misread coming into the series. They were not this team defensively all year. You didn't even see signs of this being possible for them. But we'll go back to the beginning of the year when they put this team together, and it was built to be able to stop this team. And OG Anunoby did those kind of things. Mikal Bridges, by the end of the series, looked like the Nets' Mikal Bridges again. He was out of this world tonight.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Torched
So
Derek
clutch,
White.
too. So clutch.
He was pretty much Derek White tonight for the Knicks, and just completely dominated that matchup for them, too. Those two were amazing, and then Brunson became Brunson again in this one.
Yeah, so hot right now. We're going to do a few more super chats. Mr. Talk Heavy. Joe, stop the deception. The team in Boston is waving the white flag. I don't know what that means. Silence is on fire. That's the name, not the comment. We need a coach like Mark Jackson. I don't know about that.
Oh boy.
We might just stop reading the tweet after that. Who runs plays and puts JT and JB in best position to score.
The play calling in this series has been a disaster.
What play calling?
Yep.
Exactly.
Easy E. Yes. Straight out of Compton. It's my fault, guys. I successfully defended my dissertation today, became doctor. I used up all the good fortune. This is kind of the humble brag,
A little bit of a humble brag. Congrats, Easy.
Easy E.
We'll take the good news. We'll take it in any form right now.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
If you're a doctor, then what happened to Tatum? Tell us. Use your another.
Tell us, doctor. I don't know that. I don't think he's that kind of doctor. Thanks, Easy. Congratulations to you, Jimmy J. Jumping in. The window's closed. The Jays have played their last game together. Ouch! It's not impossible.
Stunning.
That's not impossible.
The fact that that's a possibility we're even
It's
talking
what I was
about
thinking
right
when
now.
I heard Al talk. Al's talking like I might not play with Tatum again. You could almost feel that as he was talking. You could feel that his brain was processing that
emotional.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
There. He's like, I don't know. I might have just played my
Jimmy
last game
Joe.
with this guy.
Jay.
So that's
Fired
it. Retool
Joe.
for 2027. Yeah. I mean, I think we don't.
Fired
Here's what
yourself.
we don't do in Boston. We don't do mid, right? It's either you're a championship contender or burn it the F to the ground. And so there's going to be a lot of people out here calling for a total dismantling just because next season is a lost season and why gimp around any longer? Blow it up for parts and then rebuild for when Tatum comes back and is his
Well, they're not
closer to
gonna.
his full self.
I mean, think about it like this too, John. I mean, with the cap rules in place here and the thresholds that you don't want to go over, they're not going to waste it on a season that they don't have championship aspirations for.
It's a great point. Yeah, it's the perfect time to reset the cap.
Reset it hard though. Reset it to a point where you'd be willing to at first, and that's what I mean is it. You guys all know this. I'm not saying anything that isn't, kind of obvious, but like that's the thing, right? Is it with you lose here, it doesn't matter. Everyone is intact. You go into next year and you pick and choose what you want to keep around. But the idea is you're still putting a team that's competitive out there that still has a chance to win. But you're just going to kind of change out some parts a little bit, take us half a step back, but more like Denver when they lose KCP. You lose a couple of players that got you there, but it's not so much that you're tearing the whole thing down. Tearing the whole thing down is in play now. That's what's interesting. It was not before.
Yeah.
Tearing it down, maybe not, but like a gut reno. You're looking at you could do a lot more than you would have done, and that was not on the table before.
Right, and you still have Jalen, right? So that gives you some level of competitiveness.
Not if some
there,
people
at
that
least
can't
of-
have their way. Yeah.
You have a lot
I'm
of
not
great
even
players
gonna-
still. I don't think we need to do the
the
whole
show.
like let's tank for the lottery right now. I think it's a little bit premature.
It's not for the lottery, but you might.
I mean, isn't that kind of what you're saying though? Tear it all down?
No, I
Isn't that
more
the lottery?
mean you. It's,
Oh, we
you're
don't
not
want the lottery?
tearing it down for the lottery. You're tearing it. You are trading
Trying to
for
reset.
future. You're trading now. People
Yeah.
who help you now for future gains. That's what I'm talking about. Which is you might
That
not
is a
get
little
instant return.
dangerous.
You might not get instant return, but you look for picks and you look for younger
Yeah.
players who are lesser players and try to reload for a 27-28 and then just live with whatever you have for now. That's more what I mean, not go into full Philly tank and get into the lottery.
Although with the way the
just for
lottery
next
went
year.
today, maybe you do go and maybe you do tank because apparently if you have
1.8% is all you
It's gonna
need.
be so.
Say it, Noah. Say it. It's rigged. Say it.
if we want, yeah, I did tell Bobby right after that happened. I don't believe in that stuff usually. I'm like the most anti NBA conspiracy,
My
but
dreams were shattered.
consider me converted because of what the hell
Yes.
is that? That
Oh,
was crazy.
Really? I don't believe in it either.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe
I just
it.
don't think the Nico Harrison part of it didn't make any sense, right? The trade, like seeing how it went down, like the more I read about it, the more I heard about it, the more I was like, this just doesn't add up. And then now seeing them get Cooper Flag, I don't know. Maybe this is just the emotions of everything talking. So yeah, I can
Noah's
do an
angry.
apology pod
It
tomorrow.
is
But
crazy.
no, I'm emotional. Like, and this is not like this is kind of a weird experience because the only thing I've ever covered, right, is highs of the team winning and things. And it's just you read about these legends. I don't mean to go dark here, but like, I've watched all the documentaries of all the great players over the years and how things end and how things change. And it's just, I feel like we just watched one of those moments, and so anything that I say about the NBA being rigged maybe is a little bit overshadowed with that. I mean, I was emotional just sitting in the press conferences, like just seeing Jalen who always has an answer and always has things to say and quotes and things. And like, he was sitting up there when you guys saw it, there's no air. There was just nothing coming out. Like it was the locker room scene. I'm never going to forget. Like I do feel a little bit like, I keep reminding myself it's not, it's not life or death. Like Tatum will be fine. It's not,
Yeah.
but it's just, you feel like you're watching history and like this really kind of tragic way in a way.
Yeah, and the window potentially closing here is stunning.
Like the fact that we're having this conversation right now, I mean, think about where we were 10 days ago. It's just like mind-boggling from like a story
10 days ago,
they felt inevitable at times.
One day ago, I'm texting these guys about booking ahead for Indiana, so confident that they're winning this series and moving ahead. We're still talking about championship aspirations 24 hours ago, and now you're talking about potentially a full-scale rebuild, which is crazy.
And think of where the odds were at, John. Like, you know, they're down 2-1 in the series, and they're still considered the favorite to win the East.
Right.
The Knicks are even behind Cleveland, who's down 3-1 in their series to win the East. And so there's no respect for the Knicks, me included. There's no belief in that team getting it done here. And again, they had this done before Tatum went down. This game was pretty much
that's the thing. This wasn't because of Tatum, but
no, they lost. They were losing this game.
Yeah.
So
two more super
you're in
chats
this
to get to
position.
here. Parrish Duggar, no Knicks fans are happy about this. Tatum, prayers up. Elijah Fontimus. This is like a Roman emperor. JT, absolutely devastating. Sick of watching JB dribble. The basketball season is over, and possibly next one. You got your ring, KP. You got your ring, period. KP and JB got to go. A lot of that in the chat right now.
Grand stuff's ridiculous.
Smooth Singer 422. Where was Tingus Pingus? Oh my God. 7 points in 24 minutes. I'm throwing this one up here. Mr. Talk Heavy, who's already thrown down a bunch, dropping a 50. Dropping a 50. That Shams report told us, 617 fans, all you need to know. Faces we saw tonight definitely won't be there next year. The mindset, we're not to repeat as champs. The team worried who will stay and who gone after KP. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Noah and I agreed with this. I don't buy that Shams tweet said anything we didn't already know about the economic reality facing the Celtics. I think
they're smart guys. They can do the math.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look at how mad Noah is. I want to tap into this. We're not going.
I'm not mad. Honestly, I don't feel mad at all. I just feel like just kind of like overwhelmed by the whole thing. Like it was, I don't know. I've never seen an injury like that in real life before. I'm sure. Like, have you?
No.
Not playing. Not like I've seen ACL tears, but not like I've never like the way that he was in pain. Like I felt like I could feel it genuinely. Like it was. I've never seen that before. So
it brings back the memories of the Hayward.
I'm just reeling from it, honestly.
I mean, we saw Gordon Hayward.
Yeah,
I wasn't there. I know, obviously on TV I have, but something about just feeling like I don't know.
Yeah, and it's
the empath in me, John.
It does have no, but it's very similar to Hayward, but bigger because it's Tatum and he's more important. But
that was at the beginning of a season.
From like, oh my God, we could be the Golden State Warriors. This is the most excited I've ever been about watching a team in my life. And then 4 minutes later, it was like it's all over. It
makes it makes you just realize like, do not take a championship for granted. I think people already are. Right? I think people were taking the championship for granted in November when this team was struggling or when Jalen had bad games. And I think everybody should be just, it takes so much to go right. So many ankles to stay intact and Achilles to stay intact and balls to bounce and all these things to get to that moment. And that moment was so special and it was incredible to be there and to see everybody kind of get to experience that as a city and everything, as someone who grew up in Boston. But it's this moment that is the kind of the antithesis to that, where you realize all the dynasties that weren't, the potential dynasties that didn't happen, the Kevin Durant Nets, like that's kind of what was going through my mind as this happened of like, this happened right after the pinnacle. And at least they got that. You don't know where you go from here.
Well, the Celtics fans don't realize how privileged they are. Celtics fans don't realize how
they do not realize. They do not realize.
I mean, this team has been a title contender for like the last 5-6 years. They've been in that conversation and not realizing that when you start looking around, you don't see a lot of teams that can say over a 4 or 5 year period that they were legitimate title contenders, let alone winning one. And this is just a reminder of how quickly, that success can disappear, literally in a matter of seconds. So,
and we reached for issues throughout this run, right? Like January, bad shooting and a couple losses here or there. They never lost 3 games in a row until now over the last 2 seasons, right?
They didn't lose 3 in a row. 3 or 4.
3 or 4 here. So, you have this enormous level of consistency here up until this point where it just stops on a dime. And nothing forecasted it, right? Everyone in the world, even Knicks fans, picked the Celtics in this series. So to see the series go wrong so quickly before this, and then for that to just bookend it like an exclamation point at the end of this game here, that's probably going to do you in. and then for that to linger into next year.
It kind of reminds me of the 2019 Warriors of just like you've just experienced all this
It's a
greatness
great
and then you see
comparison.
the pain on the floor. I mean, I don't know why. I've rewatched those games like a bunch of times of just that series and the injuries and Clay and Durant and all that. And it like that's all of what was running through my mind. Maybe it's just how I process things, but I was immediately watching like a movie of what was going on in all the years to come and the years past and everything. But,
Yeah.
But Joe was able to talk about the defense, so hats off to him.
Let's rip through a couple more here. I know Brown had foul trouble from Colin McAuliffe, but come on, man, show up tonight. Yeah, disappointing Brown game for sure. X3 asking a question we're all going to talk about a lot, but I don't want to go deep into it here now, but he put it out there, so we'll throw it out there.
Yes.
Question for you guys individually. Do you want JB on the team next year? Thanks.
Yes.
In short,
Yes.
I don't even think
In
it's a
short,
conversation.
I mean, I think it was a conversation if Tatum was healthy. Because you had to make a choice, and I think one of those doors could open for Brown based off the haul you might be able to get and whatever, and the 2 max contracts. But I don't know that you can do that anymore because you got to have an alpha dog here. So Jaylen Brown next year, oddly enough, potentially could have I'm going to show the entire world what it would be like if I were the man sort of season. He has an
Right.
off-season.
That's a great
I'm not
opportunity for him.
I'm not saying that's a good thing for the Celtics because not having Jason Tatum is a bad thing for the Celtics, obviously, but it's going to be interesting. The Brown dynamic now, it's okay, buddy, go. Like you always, the sacrifice that you make to be on this team, to play alongside a player like Tatum that we've heard about a great deal. I'm not mad when I'm saying this. I'm saying, well, just go do you. Go get your 35. Go be an alpha dog. I'm curious how he responds to that next year, but I think the likelihood of trading him now with the possibility of Tatum missing the majority, if not all of next season, I think is next to zero.
And it is fitting we have a tanking discussion on a day like this where the Mavs do win the lottery at 1%. Last year, the Hawks won at like a minuscule percentage. There's no incentive to tank. You shouldn't tank. You shouldn't go at the bottom with these.
You're not tanking. It's just a question.
That's part of why it feels
big.
rigged. All the teams that tanked brutally got punched in the face.
Yeah. And that's what they aim to do with this new system, right? Like
that new lottery, the worst team hasn't gotten the first pick yet. And 2 years in a row, the worst team's gotten
What's going
fifth.
to happen to the Wizards? Okay, we can.
With the Wizards.
No, I'm just saying, like, they keep
We have
tanking
so
and
much-
keep getting, like,
we have-
number 9 picks.
We have so much time to talk about this. Weren't they
we have
two
time to
last
talk
year?
about the Wizards.
Rough Night, Danger Noodle. Great name. Rough Night. Tatum left it all on the court tonight. Porzingis is weird. But you guys, and you guys are awesome. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Jonathan Gutierrez throwing down. Thank you, Jonathan. Ryan Smitty, Tatum injury loses us the series and next season. Devastating. However, do you think there's a chance Nico is dumb enough to trade the number 1 pick to us for Jaylen Brown? I've already seen a lot of that on Twitter, and the answer is
No.
maybe, but I don't think so.
You can't rule anything out.
Can't
He
rule
really
it
loves
out.
his work ethic.
Yeah, it's good like that.
He likes
throwing
Nike
this out
guys.
here.
No, it's not Jalen.
Timmy. Oh, yeah, that's right. Jalen breaking our momentum every run we get with silly turnovers causing fights. A lot of Jalen hate here. They ran the same Bridges play every time in the fourth. Use the timeout. Change the scheme. Do something, Joe. Shaking my head.
It wasn't good, but we went through the same conversation in 2023. They kept him, and then he won Finals MVP the next year. So they're not going to trade Jaylen Brown, I don't think.
I don't think so. Eli Curian. What would it take to get Giannis? Nothing. Celtics aren't getting Giannis. They're trying to go in the other direction with their money.
That ship sailed when they drafted Kelly Olynyk instead of Giannis.
Yeah.
Bass Rock. Jalen had a bad game and was in foul trouble, but
Base
coaching
Rock,
played a
dude.
huge part.
Same draft.
Space Rock?
Yeah.
Could be Bass. Could be
I'll
like
go
Bass
Base Rock.
Reeves.
I like
Slap
Base
the
Rock.
bass, man.
Hey, okay. Yeah, slapping the
What the hell
bass.
was that, Jimmy?
Slap at the bass.
It's from
Slap at the bass, man.
what movie is it? Paul Rudd and
Yeah.
come on, crap.
This
Why
is
can't
40.
I remember it?
No.
No. They're like best buddies
Friends,
or something.
best friends or something.
Yeah, good one, Jimmy. Google it while I read this. Jalen had a bad game, was in foul trouble, but coaching
I
played
love
a
you,
huge
man.
part, especially not switching Al off. Bro, I love you, man. Al off Brunson.
So we get into the coaching.
We must stop giving Joe passes, didn't adjust, and gave the lead away again. You know me, and I know Noah kind of agrees this too. I do think that the coaching stuff is low-hanging fruit. Frustrated fans want to lash out at somebody. They say, Joe, why didn't you fix it? Because they don't know what needed fixing. They just know that somebody maybe should have fixed it, and they're going to point to the coach. How much of this series is on him? This series, this game, and what don't you like, guys?
Did you just call me out?
Do you have Joe stuff? Because I'm mad.
Why don't you
Oh,
go first?
damn.
No, wait.
Bobby's
Bobby, I want Bobby to close. I want Noah to open.
Okay. Couple things on Joe. I think coaches get too much credit when things go well, and they get too much blame when things go poorly. I think that the fan base has a relationship with Joe that is very peculiar to me because, one day he's the hero of the city, and then the next day it's like every single thing that happened today, all I was seeing is fire Joe, fire Joe, fire Joe. It's always going to be somewhere in the middle. It's always going to be a little bit of nuance. I don't think this was his best series from a coaching standpoint. I thought today there were defensive things that didn't quite make sense. Rotationally throughout these playoffs, I've had a lot of questions. I also think that a lot of the things that we critique end up kind of panning out, like the Mitchell Robinson thing where we were all upset about in game 2, game 3. All of a sudden, everybody's like, this is really smart. Mitchell Robinson's like having a meltdown on the floor. So a lot of the things that people get mad about, I think when you zone out, like a missed timeout, things like that, over the course of the last 3 years, he's been right for a lot of these things as well. The 3-point shots, he's been right about those, right? A lot of people wanted to hang him after year 1. I will say, I thought today the defensive issues were not Joe. They were individual players not having the pride, not having the competitive spirit. I don't know what it is. When I rewatched the game, maybe I'll be a little bit more bold than that. But I saw Derek White getting, just kind of taken advantage of on defense in a way that I'm not used to. I saw Jaylen Brown making errant mistakes that I felt like he had outgrown 3 years ago. At a certain point, like, these are guys that I have so much respect for their abilities. We've seen them be so great at such a great level. Maybe Joe could have put them in some better positions, but I don't think that's what this loss was about. I don't think that's what the series has been about. And at the same time, and there's things that are great about Joe. I think the biggest thing that I give coaches credit for is their ability to keep a team bought in and to manage egos and to manage stars and to get Tatum and Brown to do their part and everything that came together last year, more than the schemes, because ultimately the schemes ends up being more the players on the court and an entire coaching staff too, which people forget about. This is not one guy. This is about a dozen guys that are all making decisions and a lot of veteran experiences and things. So I think you get too much credit, you get too much blame, but tonight this was not the story's not Joe here for me. And I know that there's going to be things that people can break down. And I'm not saying he coached a great series. I don't think he did, but that's an underscore to a lot of the bigger things that I saw personally.
I can probably rattle off in this series alone 10 things I didn't love that Joe did here. I'll start from the end of the game and move backward. They left Brown out of this game with 5 fouls for a significant amount of time there. The 6-minute timeout hits. Feel like you have to get him back in there at that point to have your best 5 out there. I don't care what you thought of how he played in this game. Porzingis is out there over him, who's been mostly ineffective for the length of this series. So that wasn't a big plus, having him in there over Brown at that moment. Maybe in a different circumstance it might have been, but I didn't love it there. I don't think there was great urgency there to get him back into the game until things really started to go away from them. He comes back in and there's that big Tatum blow-up play there, and Tatum's down, and that's it right there effectively. So I didn't love the urgency when you're basically playing for your season in a game like this to get one of your best players back in there. So that's one of the things I'll hit on here. The play calling, you mentioned it, Joe, John, just non-existent for a lot of this thing. One action to get into a mismatch, letting Brown and Tatum beat those to death. Knicks seemed thrilled with that they were just hitting that wall again and again of hedges and collapses and just driving in the traffic and looking like the 2020, 2021 version of this team with the way those guys approach the game at this point. And so you get to a point, I love the timeouts last game, but those weren't quick for earlier portions of the series to come during those droughts that were like 14 shots long here. And so you get to the point, you said it, Jimmy. I get it. You're a free-flowing team. You let the players do their thing. You lean on those guys and you defer to the starters and all of that too. But at what point is your role to step in and do something when things are going drastically wrong? No, not just kind of wrong. Astronomically wrong in those first 2 games, just all-time meltdowns. The second, a complete mirror image of the first. And then in this game, you start to really think after that game 4, or game 3 rather, where Pritchard's so effective. You see 8 minutes of him
I
in the
gave Joe a
first half?
pass on that because that made no sense to me. But
Luke Cornett in this series,
I know.
excellent, and Porzingis completely ineffective. They never really swapped those guys out, and they just kept going to Porzingis over and over again, trying to make that work when he clearly wasn't right. Out of deference to him, or because he wants to play, or because he wants to push through it? Doesn't really make sense to me with how he looked out there in certain portions of the series. And so you talk up your depth all year and your ability to be flexible and get to these different things. How much did we talk about the Tatum Cornett pick and roll that just became this revelation during the year and never happened in the playoffs? Never. We never saw them get to that. Maybe in short, tiny pockets before they pulled Luke off the floor there. And I'm not doing a Luke thing right now.
I think if I have a critique that I agree with,
he was rigid. He became a rigid coach.
It's also just that I don't know if it's an ego thing or if it's, these are the guys that make all the money, so they have to play. But I do think Pritchard and Luke and the depth was just kind of discarded for the most part.
Enough.
So I think that's a fair complaint. And I also don't think it's not just the Joe thing. I think it's the NBA coaches don't have the ability to set their starters. I don't get it, but you very rarely see them do it. OKC just did it. So shout out to Mark Daignault.
And please, what was it after game 1? The shot thing. I mean, what a novel idea thing. Just don't do that after a massive collapse in a game.
For Bobby's sake.
Yeah, I mean, guys, that's the thing with the coach. No,
I co-sign.
You moved me a
little.
little.
With coaches. That's the thing with coaches. Like,
you talk about the margins all day long, and then you say it's shots going in.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're the leader of people in any way, like, I've worked with talented people. You let them do their jobs. You want them to be able to express themselves, to do things the way they want to do it. But if everything's going to shit, sometimes you just got to step in and be like, guys, we got to do this instead. Like, that's what the coach is there for. If you see it and you don't like it, that's where you got to do the coaching. So sometimes they need help. That's what you're supposed to be there for. It is strange to just, they'll figure it out. This idea that, like, letting the players, that's what you get paid for. So it is frustrating to see, adjustments not made or sticking with the same sort of thing, just kind of waiting for the law of averages to play itself out. I know that's what people feel about Joe all the time.
How did this become a series where you're the super team, and I know guys are hurt and ill and whatever, but you're basically just relying on whether threes are going in or not? And I know I'm oversimplifying it there, but for a lot of the series, it felt like
they went in.
Yeah, and even when they went in a game like this, you still lose.
Because the defense was trash.
The defense was awesome to start. I don't think there was an adjustment. I don't know what we saw. But
I really can't explain that one.
Yeah,
I also think
that's
some
a game
of it is
I'm not going to look forward, but yeah.
Yeah, tip your hat that Brunson was just great. Again, more super chats here. Ace, trade Tatum, build around Brown, fire Missoula, bring back Brad Stevens as coach. You all have recency bias and are only thinking about tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't trade Tatum.
Did you say bring back Brad as coach? This is crazy.
Hey, that's this is recency bias?
Build around Brown.
That must be the guy who says
Clothing. I need John to be more positive on these post games. Here's the guy that asks, he really dead, huh? At the final hospital visit? I don't know.
Damn.
Okay, to be fair, if there's ever a post game to not be positive, this is the one.
Yeah.
This is kind of it.
Wait, can you read that again?
Is there anything? Should we do some silver line? I'm not doing a forward-verging things today on my podcast.
We're not doing credit cake tonight. Sorry.
No, I'm saying that even I wouldn't do it. I'm not calling for a credit cake.
Yeah. I need John to be
credit
more
to the guys for
positive
not
on these
dodging media
post-games.
availability.
Here's the guy that asks, is he really dead, huh? At the final hospital visit.
He's the guy. He's the guy. He's saying that
Damn,
you're the guy
man.
who asks.
Okay.
Trade
really
Brown,
dead, huh?
DJ Pappas, trade Brown.
Damn, everyone really wants to trade Brown,
and
huh?
Porzingis and rebuild. Like I said, Boston doesn't do mid. There's no treading water for a year. Last thing you want to see is a play. The Celtics are the top play-in team next year. Nobody wants that. So yeah.
The thing is with keeping Brown is the
Porzingis thing bums me out too.
The style changes. The style of play completely changes. The roles change. Then what? You just toss Tatum back in the mix the next season, and Brown's supposed to go back to the old way things were. This is a topic for another day, but it's not that simple.
It is. It's
not
that simple.
And can I hit on the Porzingis thing real quick too?
Yes,
because,
please do.
I mean, what are we talking about here? 19 days ago, or so, 18, less than 3 weeks. He's at TD Garden with the head split open, and the whole place is going absolutely nuts in this real moment for him where the fan base is just in complete love with this guy, has the best season of his career. As I wrote there, wanted to be a big part of this run, and then just has this weird thing fall on him where he looks like 5% of himself. And this is potentially how he's going to go out with this team and be remembered. That's
It's
brutal.
crazy. More Porzingis. I think you start with Joe. Porzingis was awful. Sit him. No adjustments. Nothing to stop the Brunson run. Yeah, honestly, I would have gone more Luke over Porzingis.
Porzingis was out there for a lot of the fourth quarter.
He's got nothing.
Luke was robbed in
the
this series.
Shaq Dadon. James Lyons looks like he's crying. Yeah, he's crying.
Yeah, those are tears.
He's crying.
James Lyons.
Yeah, it's
crazy too. Horford
Tatum
and Luke are
tears.
free agents.
Deltaverse. I had friends troll me in the group chat over the loss. Insensitive. I left that group. I
Good.
hear
Do
you.
not come
I'm
back.
there with that.
I
Boston
think it's
Ryan.
kind of lost. Nobody should be trolling anybody.
I'm getting ready to look at my group chat.
I hope Tatum uses Kobe's comeback for himself. Kobe sucked after the Achilles anyway.
He did.
He was 40.
I hope he doesn't.
I know.
Sucked
Jimmy
before the
Alexander
Achilles, too.
dropping a 50 bomb. Everybody show some respect.
Thank you.
Deshaun Watson injury looks the same. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't KG come back from injury the following year? KG came back from a knee injury, was a shell of himself after that, and everything collapsed
Oh.
as far as that
Well,
was
you
concerned.
2009.
No, you're talking about like this era of Celtics fans that are like learning how hard it is to repeat. My era learned that the hard way too with the KG injury.
I was alive back then. That was the year I became a Boston citizen that watched the Celtics.
There
And
you
we just
go.
watched Celtic City, right? Like these devastating moments have happened throughout Celtics history.
They
It
might
was
have to
kind
add
of-
another. They might have to add the final chapter to the
Yeah.
Celtics City.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, have we gotten confirmation about this injury? I can't believe
I'm trying to see if
we
there's
haven't
any.
heard
news
No,
anything.
you're not. But
Okay,
what
you're
you're
not
going to
gonna
get
get it tonight.
later tonight, you're going
It
to
would
get a
break
tweet
here.
that says it's feared that Tatum
Right.
suffered an Achilles. MRI will confirm, but the Celtics are bracing for the worst. That'll be some tweet you get tonight, and then tomorrow we'll get the final word.
We haven't gotten that tweet though.
No.
We haven't gotten the feared.
Why don't you just tweet
yet.
it?
This injury feels worse than Game
'Cause I don't want
7.
PR
says
to fire me.
Chakalaka Mekalaka. This injury feels worse than Game 7's ankle injury with the frustration everyone must have been feeling
Yeah.
at this point. No question about it
True.
because of the long-term ramifications. Brocktons with S's, 3 S's. Tatum's the most cursed player in NBA history, hated on for literally no reason by fans. Career-altering injury before his prime, tragic. Yeah,
It does suck.
that's
Yeah.
the sucky part.
Yeah.
I
You
will
don't
say maybe
wanna-
this will humanize him
me.
a little to people because for some reason he's like the subject of all this online like everybody just likes to hate on him. Maybe seeing this injury is gonna make people be like, actually don't really hate him and this sucks that he went down. So
Yes, people
Then,
will learn to appreciate Tatum too late, having missed his
Yeah.
prime. You know, we're like, oh crap, I wish we could have that guy back. Jason Tatum himself from the hospital, dropping a $5 super chat. I'm having a rough day. I agree.
Sorry, JT.
You are.
You do have that
Jason.
thought
Well,
too. Like, man, they were so fortunate to get that ring last year. Like, getting that done was so important now looking back on it.
Next chat.
Yeah.
My dog.
Ripping through a few more here, guys. More on the Tatum name drag through the dirt for the past week to go out like that on a great bounce back game. Prayers from JT. Thank you, amazing M.
If the Celtics won that game and Tatum played the way he did, like that's like a legacy game for him. It just went 180 so quickly. Oh.
Affected
man.
gamer, what do we do from here? We don't know. Ace, most positive comment of the last, however, Jalen will win finals MVP again this year. Watch. Okay. I love that. I love the energy. Andrew
put that energy
Williams.
out there. Ace.
Andrew with the energy just shifted in the chat. Andrew Williams, my first super chat. I've been watching you guys for years.
Nice.
Well, what have you been
you,
waiting
Andrew.
for, Andrew? Just kidding. Team got cursed. Brown, leg, KP, sickness, Drew, hamstring, Al, old. Al wasn't cursed with old age. He
Guys,
just
and
is old.
He's my age. Everybody relax.
Tatum
Even these
franchise
somber moments
changing.
the super chats get me.
Love
Yeah,
you
I mean,
guys
you gotta-
at Boston for life. Giannis, question mark.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
John,
Hey, can I ask a question?
John,
Open the
one
door
more.
for
John
Giannis.
Harop, we're going to be up there having a burger at your place real soon.
Oh.
Legit depressed. If that's the Achilles, man, you really don't have a choice but to sell pieces off. All next season basically is lost. By the way, JB, put the effing butter popcorn down for one game. JT, no help tonight for the most part. That's the most frustrating
Fat
part
Johnny's
of tonight.
Burger and Bites in Norton, Mass. Everybody go check him out on Saturdays.
Really like a baseline
What were,
level of
what were you going to say, Bobby?
Can I ask a question you guys aren't gonna like?
Absolutely.
Sure.
You're going to anyway, Bobby. So why
Who
are
are you asking? Who are you asking? Who are you
Just
asking
ask
now?
it.
Can they win Game 5?
Oh, I like that
Yeah.
question. I think they
Yeah.
will win Game 5, honestly, because I think
Does
these
it
are the kinds
matter?
of moments that maybe for a game you rally behind. I don't think that you can sustain beyond that, but they obviously still have the talent to win Game 5 without him. We know that, and I think you're gonna find some emotion, some pride in the locker room, and I think they'll win one more before this thing wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Gelso, is Bill Chisley relieved
Bill
because
Chisel.
he can dismantle the
No.
roster?
Is that
Oh, wow.
actually what it says?
It says Chisley.
I don't think the new Celtics owner is relieved that the franchise
I think
player.
he's
Just-
saying chisel. It's not a typo. Maybe he's like
I
chisel
think-
as in like he's trying to cheat you out of stuff, but I don't know.
No,
Anyway,
I
go
think
ahead.
you just typoed Chisholm.
Who are you saying, Noah?
I think he's probably staring at the roof.
I
right
think the
now.
new Celtics owner is looking like me right now.
Yeah.
What do you
I
say,
don't-
Jimmy? Just
as another Celtics.
what do you say, Jimmy? After the losses, just laying in bed, staring at the ceiling.
Just staring at the ceiling, wondering where it all went wrong. Yeah. No,
Cou-
I think
couple-
Bill's on the phone with his bank right now, wondering if he could void the check or if it's too late.
I do
think
wonder
that's
if
what
the
he's doing.
value of the franchise just like went way down.
My dad actually asked me that.
Like,
but
is
no,
that how these things work? Does it happen this quick?
It
I
hasn't
don't think
gone
so.
down. Yet.
No, it's the name, it's the brand, it's not the it's not the current team.
But
There
it goes up
is-
when they win. It goes down
But
when
it
they
goes
break,
up. You
and
make
then-
more money when they win, obviously, so that's
Yeah.
good because you're getting
Stocks
more
always
gates.
go up. Little trick.
Kellen Goodrich, I agree with John. Respectfully, Brown is not that guy to bring you back. This Tatum injury sets you back. Who knows how long C's need to seriously consider trading Jalen this offseason again. We'll get into that stuff later because everyone's going to have an opinion. Voodoo Magic, Jared Scott, Voodoo Magic strikes again, defending champs out in the second round.
Wow.
John, our burger boy again. People killing Tatum tonight need brain scans. Boston sports have spoiled people, man. People forget how
Yeah.
fortunate they are to have players like this.
Yeah.
Now they'll
Absolutely.
remember. Now they'll know.
Facts.
The
Next,
second
next
round
year,
thing is crazy.
they're gonna
Are
learn
people
next
killing
year.
Tatum tonight? Is that a thing that's happening right now?
I don't think so.
No. Hi, Amit. Felix Baldomero. It's not. I'm glad you have to sit here with frowny faces. The Knicks killed this fake dynasty before it ever had life. Hey, we talked about what
Damn,
people will
Felix.
say versus what we know to be true about this team and how good they were and how legit that roster was. Sorry, that's the story. Fake
If we're
ass
telling
roster.
the real story,
But
I mean,
they
it's just
did
a
kill the
massive,
dynasty,
massive
though.
failure here.
Yeah.
Felix isn't wrong. Anyways, next.
Yeah,
This-
Knicks fan here. Feel so bad for Tatum putting on an amazing performance. He and Brunson dueling is what
That
the
was
NBA is
cool.
all about. Bobby, you were
Yeah.
going
It
to say?
was, yeah.
This is just, you if you separate from the Tatum stuff tonight and just look at it in a vacuum, because again, they lost the game before he went down. Just a catastrophic failure. No one in the world picked the Knicks here. This is going to go down as one of the biggest upsets in NBA history. When you
Which,
look
by
at-
the way, it shouldn't, because this was a 2-3
It just is,
matchup.
though.
And
No one
by
in
the
world
way,
picked the Knicks.
and by the way, it won't. So
Yeah,
no,
right. No, it won't.
Yeah.
In history,
it's
Why,
not
though?
even in the the top 1,000. Like it's not
It's not even the
close.
biggest upset this playoffs.
Yeah, it's not even close.
The biggest
an
upset in
upset.
NBA history.
yeah, the
not-
Pacers are
it's
about to
not-
upset the
not-
Cavs.
Can you
even
find
more.
one person in the world who picked the Knicks?
It doesn't matter. It's still a team that was within 7 or 8 regular season wins of you. Like it's not ridiculous.
It was a 2-3
that
game,
they-
ultimately.
that they would win this.
Also,
that they would win the
everybody just
series.
picks the same team. Like, if you look at ESPN analysts, they all pick the same team every single time.
We-
And then half the time they were wrong.
It's like Rotten
We couldn't
Tomatoes
find a
ratings.
Knicks fan
Like,
who
if
was
you
excited.
like
I mean,
it
the
doesn't
Miami
mean it's
Celtics one was
great.
a bigger upset. Miami Celtics was the bigger upset in 23.
Yeah, you just have.
So-
Yeah, Bobby,
I don't
you
know.
can't. No,
I mean,
Bobby,
I'm
I'm
just
gonna-
saying, team.
Bobby falls into the prisoner of the moment. We know
he's
this,
running
Bobby.
out of. Yeah, he's running out of time for this kind of hyperbole, folks. So again, he might only have one game left in him. He's got to get him out of his system here. Action Benz. Maybe next
We'll
year
rank
Joe will
'em.
realize
We can
it was
do a
about
show
the
in July.
players.
Worst.
Hold on, this one's going
This
to
is
Bobby
good
here.
for Bobby. Here we go.
Maybe next
Bobby
year
needs a
Joe will
win.
realize it's about the players, not his theories. He might learn to coach. I want this 10 to go to Bobby, the most underrated member of the team. Do you guys think Bobby's underrated? Bailey, poll in the chat.
Underrated.
Bobby,
He's
underrated,
properly rated.
overrated, properly rated. I want a poll. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Bobby's not underrated.
We'll see.
He's properly highly rated. I'll say that about Bobby. Shout out Bobby. But he gets the $10. Listen, Action said he wants Bobby to get the $10.
Exactly.
All right.
It's all Bobby.
We won't split it, Action. We'll give it all to Bobby. I'll just
Yeah.
I
This
guess
is
it's
one that
canned tuna for me this week, I guess.
this is one I agree with, and I've said all along, and I know Bobby, we've talked about it. Biggest worry this whole season for me was athletic size. Our bench is small and or unathletic. We're seeing it against Orlando and New York City.
Are they frozen?
We struggle to rebound and defend. They might be.
Okay.
They look frozen.
I thought they were really like
Ahmed was warning me that they were low on batteries, so they might have to change out. The union guys over in New York don't let you plug things in, so we have to do everything on whatever battery percentage we have.
That might be it for them. That's sad. That's kind of like how Tatum just went out.
I know. They just tore a friggin' digital Achilles on the air right here.
Just like that. Just like that. That's what it looks like.
But they'll be
That's
back
what it
before
looks like
next
when
season.
you lose power like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the tweet. It's feared that CLNS has lost power to Bobby and Noah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the tweet on that.
Um,
Here it is.
Michael Hudson, I'm so disappointed in this fan base. I'm distraught about Tatum. I'm far more worried about him in the game.
Why,
I would
what do
agree.
fans have to do?
I'd agree.
Joe is a one-trick pony, defense adjusted. He didn't. Thank you very much. That's from Tommy Heinsohn.
Oh.
Fabio
Yeah.
Tapia, prayers up to JT. Absolutely. Casper C. Knicks won this game, but we gave away games 1 and 2. Absolutely correct. C should be up 3-1. We said that, right? The margin for error goes way down when you blow those games.
Bad Celtics were a
Brutal.
bad. One thing we will say is they were a bad home team all year. If you want to
Yeah.
talk about a consistent issue, that was it until the end.
Yeah, Dirk mad at the basketball gods. Hope they bump their toe real bad. Little 1-2. Fudge you, basketball god. Keep
That's
it clean.
about as
guys.
angry as Dirk gets, too.
Yeah. Derek Sapino. I'm worried about Jaylen Brown. We've seen players who rely heavily on their athleticism rapidly decline when the injuries add up and the athleticism goes. He could become a bad contract very soon.
Oh my God.
True. That's very true.
I can only talk about one guy dealing with an injury right now. It's not Jaylen Brown. I can only focus on Tatum right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about Jaylen Brown.
VG, best show to listen to in tough moments. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Celtics are a religion for us, Boston. And honestly, like I know you guys help each other in the chat. It sounds kind of
It's like therapy.
It sounds trite, the whole therapy thing, but like, part of the Garden Report was born through challenging times, and we went through some stuff, and people would come here to vent and to make sure that does everyone feel like I feel? Because I feel this way right now, and that's kind of where we are with a lot of this stuff right now. Team's identity. Tip your cap to the Knicks Celtics team for hanging a banner. Of course, they deserve their props, but they might need identity reinvention or a makeover. I don't dispute that, but I also think like they could have easily made the finals again this year. With this group, and we'd be talking about, God, I love having. I mean, it's not too long ago we were talking about how awesome it is to have Holiday. I mean, Holiday was awesome. He didn't have a good game today, and we're burying him. White's been awesome. We're going to bury him because Brunson got by him a couple of times. Like, KP was awesome all year when he was healthy. I think we really are prisoners of the moment right now in assessing who these guys are. So
there's just so much unknown. It's just like,
And that's the worst part. We don't know. Like it'd be great if like we definitively knew that this was happening and this was not going to happen. Hey, they're back.
We're back.
Hey, before the bus leaves, we want to get some more thoughts from you guys before we wrap up the show. And I can jam out the rest of the super chats after you guys are gone. So where do we go from here, guys? Like, I mean,
You go to game 5, do the best you can in that game.
Let's talk about the here and the now. Can this Celtics team, as they are right now, possibly win this series?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Oh my
but
God, Noah.
I'm sorry. Listen,
Noah the
3-1
field
is already.
Dalzell.
No, okay. I always,
show some
everybody
belief in
thinks.
Pritchard.
Listen, everybody thinks I'm a homer. It's okay. Everybody thinks that I'm overly optimistic about this team. Last year, I think I felt a little bit vindicated with how things turned out because it was very clear that all the signs of a championship team were there. Right now, all the signs are that this team is in a really tough spot, right? And to win 3 games in a row was going to be a really tall task anyways against a Knicks team that has just been so impressive this season that I've said I thought coming down from OT.
Oh.
We knew that was possible.
Yeah, I hate to see it.
We knew it was possible.
And that, my friends, is a bad take.
They just blew out
bad take right there.
Blew out another Achilles.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with Noah. I don't think that it's not in the cards for this team without Jason Tatum. If Jason Tatum is still on the team playing in game 5, yes, I would give them still a puncher's chance in this series. He's too big a part of this team's success. He's the gears that keeps everything going, whether he's scoring, whether he's passing, distributing. I understand that he has his highs and lows, and we've criticized him on numerous, shows here, especially in this series. But they can't win without him. Could they squeak out a game 5 win? Sure. Lightning in a bottle, playing with a lot of, energy and all that stuff. You can win one with the Knicks having their guard down, and then, all of a sudden you get back to Madison Square Garden and the Celtics could get run out of the gym for all we know. But the Celtics do not have enough to consistently win without Jason Tatum. He's simply too important on this team. The NBA is about superstars. Look around the league. Look at the teams that are left in the league. The best players in the NBA are leading their teams right now. And if you just take out Jason Tatum, unfortunately, and Joe's proven this, there's nobody to slide in on this bench right now. They are about as thin as they've ever been. There's nobody that he's looking to. You don't even have Hauser. You have no backup wings. You have no backup, wing swing combinations here. You've got a point guard in Pritchard, and you've got a center in a Luke that they don't even go to. So from, my standpoint, they're dead in the water. Could, what's it called? What's that saying, John, where it's like something, dead man's something or other. Pulse or something. I forget. Somebody in the chat will know.
Dead man walking.
Dead cat jump or something.
What the hell are you talking about? Is that some home
something about a dead cat? Something about a dead cat bounce. Dead cat bounce. Dead cat bounce, I think, is what it is. Where basically it's like the cat's dead and he just like jolts up out of nowhere, but he's dead. That could be the Celtics game 5. They have nothing else. Dead cat bounce. And I didn't even have to Google that. It just came to me.
Okay.
Can you take it back?
No, I can't take it back. Dead cat bounce is the thing.
It's a thing. I believe you. It's just not a thing I know, and that's fine. Right. There's a lot I don't know. And NYY Matt.
Hold on. That was funny.
Okay. NYY Matt. Considering how many weapons the Celtics have on the roster, only getting one chip of disappointment. It is. This is the same thing with the 2008 team.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. That team was legit built for a 3-year run, maybe a 4, maybe a 5. You never know.
That got the robot injuries too. With
KG changed all of it. You did have a smaller window because they were all getting older. But again, that 2009 team was better than the 2008 team. And
then you had Perk in 2010.
Yeah, and then you gimped your way to the finals a year later with a team that maybe shouldn't have been there, and still had a shot. So that was a full 3-year window where they probably should have won 3 straight. You're always going to leave stuff on the table. That Celtics team should have won 3 straight, 84-86. They won 2 out of 3. That's fine. Could have possibly won more beyond that as well. So the injuries can kill you. We asked this one already.
How is it different from the run they had in the 50s, John, when you were watching those teams? Like, how is it different now?
The 50s? Those teams were unstoppable.
Yeah.
More hook shots back then.
Yeah.
Shorter shorts.
They were able to just...
They didn't take threes, so I loved it. That's the kind of basketball I want.
The NBA made it easy to reach.
They shot like 32%, which is great for the friggin' boomers that think there's too many threes now. You know,
They dribbled with one hand. Like,
what? And again, they all played with only one hand, which was amazing. They would go left like this.
Yeah,
which was great. That takes a lot of skill. Noah's not a crybaby. You're a crybaby, Ace. Talk your shit, Noah.
Yeah,
2 plus 2
we'll take
doesn't
your
equal
$2
5. Okay, Duncan. Hamed, Celtics in 7 still. I'd love to see it. Bricks. Nobody going to mention Hart intentionally tripping Tatum right before his Achilles exploded. F the win game 5. Just some payback for that. I don't know if he
Did
tripped
that
him.
happen? I'm gonna have to look.
Soul left my body. Your favorite Scorpio. Soul left my body. Consistent is this podcast. Thank you.
We'll take it. I like that.
Thank you.
Might get that
Brockton, everyone in that locker room had their future altered tonight. That's true. Tatum not only losing year of his career, JB, too many. Get AJ. It's not going to happen.
No.
They're not going to finish in the top 2 to get the consensus, best players in the draft.
Go get him.
Goat, I still love Brown for what he did last year. No question about it. Convinced Nico to take Drew and KP. Come on. Because of their defensive upside. Oddish. Not happening. What do y'all think of potential MVP for JB next season? Not going to have enough
Not
wins.
gonna
I
happen.
don't see it. Yeah. John, throwing it out there. Thanks for the shout out, John and Jimmy. Fat Johnnies, let's go. Everyone, if you're in the Norton area, go catch yourself a burger at Fat Johnny's.
Yeah.
There. A couple more super chats to go. We'll see if we get Bobby and Noah back, and then we might wrap the show, or we'll get back to the live chat and see if you guys have anything. Love you guys. From Austin Zane, prayers for Tatum. Austin, a longtime watcher and contributor here. I don't really understand Tatum not being in to start the 4th. Down 3, and he was the only one doing anything. The legs, man, we've seen their legs go late in some of these games. You gotta find a minute for them, especially since they counted on him so hard. First couple of super chats. Solonomics, you're awesome, Bobby. Where is he? But if KP is always hurt or not affect him when we need him most, he needs to go. I mean, Jimmy, this was the KP convo, right?
Yeah.
He's incomplete.
He's
also
making it very easy to be the guy that gets traded.
Cool Che 84. I want this $2 to go to Jimmy to get a haircut.
What? Dude,
a super sticker here.
I got a haircut.
The little can, no go if the threes don't fall is flawed to me. I don't know. I know people say that.
Yeah.
58% of the chat says Bobby's underrated.
Wow.
Champs are getting swept by the New York Knicks. Now it's not an upset. Ha, 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 ha. This will solidify the Tatum Brown legacy as chokers and injury champs. TJ, a lot of people will say this.
Injury
A
champs.
little can. This situation now is why the years we pissed away with the prior elite teams hurt so much. This might be a lesson for some. Yeah, can't waste them, right? Can't waste them. Why is okay? So this will be my thing. Why do I get mad or why do I nitpick? Guys, this is why. When you have a team capable of doing great things,
you should just do great things.
They have to be great. They have to be great because the opportunity's gone, and then you're stuck rooting for middling teams who you wake up at the beginning of the season knowing have no frigging chance of getting past the first or second round of the playoffs. That's a shit place to be in. When you know you don't have a puncher's chance, when you are a legit championship team, you're supposed to nitpick everything. It's not that hard.
And that's why we get frustrated even after wins.
It's not Celtics hatred. Yeah. You watch a win and you're like, that shit's not going to play against OKC in the finals. That's all we're thinking about.
Yeah,
we're the bad
guys.
We're
There's
the
very
haters.
little. Right. There was very little anger in Brad Stevens' early years because those teams weren't very good. They weren't.
Right.
There was no expectations. But once this team got to the point where you have really top-tier talent and you're among the last team standing after a while, you absolutely have to nitpick everything because we've seen enough basketball to know it's the little things that mean the difference between getting to the finals and winning a chip or getting your ass kicked in the second round and calling it a day.
But the difference is we see something we don't like and we'll call it out and talk about it, but that makes us negative and haters. And then when, let's say that the next game happens and those trends don't occur, see, you guys are haters. They're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great. There's nothing to worry about. Well, wait a second. It doesn't work that way. It's like you have to acknowledge the shortcomings when you see them so that you don't make them again down the road.
Yeah.
And so that's all. Doesn't mean we're haters. We can still appreciate, what this team is, but you also know what they're capable of. And it's frustrating when they don't get to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here we are. If you don't, I always say this, John, not to cut you off, to a lot of my friends say I'm a hater. I refuse to be an enabler. That's what it is. I refuse to enable mediocrity or shortcomings or, toxic traits. I'm not going to enable that behavior. I will call you out on it, and I will force you to be a better player or a better person or a better whatever, even if you don't want to hear it. That's just how it's going to be. If you don't like it, then you're soft. Simple as that. Next.
No, there's no next. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We've been given word that that shit is dead in New York, in Amit's words. So we are going to wrap this show, and it feels like we're wrapping the season, but we will be back on Wednesday for a game 5, and then who knows after that. We will probably do some level of breaking news when we find the Tatum injury tomorrow. So for those of you out there, subscribe to the Garden Report. I don't know if you want to hear us drone on about the same stuff as well, but when we have a little bit more clarity on the situation, we will talk about it and see what's going on there. But that's where we're at right now. Celtics go down 121-113. The bigger story, of course, is that Jason Tatum exited the game late in the fourth quarter with an apparent Achilles injury based on whatever people can discern from just seeing how the injury went down. Not great, not a great look. What it means long-term, short-term, it's going to all kind of unfold and start unfolding in the next few days. And yeah, I don't know if I caught what KP had, but I'm dealing with some stuff right now. So yeah, thank you for noticing. I had to tough this one out a little bit today. But yeah, one more. Does Joe stay? Adrian Wong Photography. Good plug for Adrian Wong Photography. Does he stay?
Adrian?
He does, but the leash on Joe is short because he's difficult and stubborn and somewhat off-putting, and you live with that level of genius when they're doing really well, but his act will wear really thin on an underachieving or underperforming team. And if the Celtics struggle, we've seen this. You can go from NBA champ to coach of the year to unemployed in a 2-year span.
We just saw it like twice this year.
It happens all the time. So yeah, Joe doesn't help himself there.
He doesn't, but also he's not going to be able to hide behind one of the best players in the league next year, assuming the worst.
Yeah, this is the worst thing here by ATUILOL. The fear that you're losing Prime Tatum, is brutal. It's brutal. I'm going to shout out to Irene, who's maybe our biggest Irene out there, possibly our biggest cheerleader.
She's the best.
Yeah. She's always asking, hit the like button. Absolutely. And while you're at it, I'm going to ask you for a few more favors, and then you can go. Everybody, every single one of you who's left here, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you don't, it's there. It's one button. Just hit it. Subscribe. Okay? Subscribe to Celtics All Access. Subscribe to the CLNS Media Network YouTube channel, wherever you're watching.
You're going to want it for the breaking news ones.
Subscribe. And if you want, subscribe to the You Got Boston podcast with Noah, available on CLNS Media, wherever you get your audio. Rate and review it as well. And the Big 3 NBA podcast with Sherrod, Gary Washburn, and Kwani Lunis, also available. Subscribe to all of it, please. Please and thank you. We've been with you all year. We like having you with us. We want to keep you. Subscribe to our stuff. Thank you so much, guys. That's it, guys. Prayers for Tatum seems to be the vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for all you do. Thank you, guys.
Prayers for John too. It seems like he's coming down with something.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm still living my life. And yeah, that's it. We're past the 2-hour mark. We had an awesome audience, great crowd in here tonight. Still a lot of people. We are going to wrap.
Oh wow, we do have a lot of people in here.
Not much more to say. Yeah, tons on Twitter. Still 21,000 out here watching various platforms. But you YouTubers here filling the chats up. We know you're the real ones. A lot of OGs hung out start to finish. Watch every second of the show. We appreciate you guys tremendously, but we are going to wrap it. We will be back Wednesday, but look for us tomorrow with some breaking news on the Tatum situation. We will definitely have it. Fingers crossed. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. So we'll see what happens with Tatum. We will see you guys most likely tomorrow, but certainly after Game 5. Take care. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way.
Yeah.
Fight Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke